quick recovery. So to answer the question directly, kwani mnaogopa Ruto? We don't fear Ruto. The whole thing is a crony of other people. Ruto is unable to make his own decisions. That's why the guy is helpless. That's why the guy is forcing everything on Kenyans. For example, look at the cabinet. He might not be able to fire all the cabinet ministers. The reason is the way it structures. These are people who either contributed money directly for his campaign, who campaigned for the guy. So they're getting kickbacks as a payout for what they did for this guy to be the president. That's why the guy is working on a very tight angle. The decision, yes, he might want to fire all cabinet ministers, head of parastatos. All those guys were not performing. But look at the likes of Moses Kuria. Those are the guys who pumped millions and billions of shillings into his campaign. So he's very helpless. So that's the reason why Kenyans, we are like helpless with this guy. What next? This guy, according to me, this guy should fire all his cabinet, but he's tied up so much. Like those people are telling the guy, stay put. And do you know who Ruto is? Ule ni jamaa mwenye anajifeel like he has the ego. Yeah, that's what they call it. He has the ego. Mimi ndio kusema. He's micromanaging every sector. So the best thing is, let's keep the pressure. Maze, pressure after pressure. Paka, if it's the streets, let's not relent. The problem is the goons have come in. Let's identify those people who are bringing in goons. Deal with them first. Then we go on with the demonstrations. The second thing is, if about the X spaces with the president. So my question will be, he will be hosting the space to listen or to explain things. If he will be hosting the space to explain, he should not be given a chance. Nobody should host that guy to start explaining his lies. If it's listening, let him host the space or someone else host the space so that people can hear their grievances. So that kama ni kumutusi mumutusi, kama ni kumfanyia nini atusiwe hadi aelewe Kenya iko na shida. The next thing is IBC. I really feel it's deliberate. These people don't want to reconstitute the IBC. The reason is they know themselves. It might catch some of them, so they don't want to act, even parliament. But the whole thing is, let's keep pushing. Maze tuendelee kuweka pressure. Otherwise, whatever we have made so far, we have some achievements in our pockets, but it's not enough. Maze huo jamaa anafaa pressure after pressure. The only thing they have is they can kill us, but they cannot kill all of us. Thank you.
Hey, asante. Dr. Jefferson, shikilia mic tafadhali.
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Just hold your mic. We want to listen to Akeo. Hold your mic. Hold your mic.
Oh, so.
Let's hear from Akeo. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Bana, wacha tusikie Nyadhiwa.
Oh.
Wacha tusikie Nyarasembo. Akeo, kindly jump in. Niulize, Nyakeo mnamsikia? Janet, unasikia Akeo?
No, I can't hear. Akeo, are you here with us? Okay, revolution coming. Akeo,
ni vent kidogo, usipate ni catfish juu vitu nimesema kwa DM ya Akeo jameni. Ni sawa. It's going to be painful. Sasa amepewa mic aongee jameni, upate ni Morio. I'm dead. Okay.
Can I go ahead?
Star Revolution, go on. Akeo unatusikia kweli?
Can I go ahead?
Before you speak, let's Akeo kindly try to speak, then we see how it's we see whether you tutakusikia.
Akeo seems not to be there. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. I totally understand. Akeo bana bado hajajua kutumia Twitter Spaces, but I'm sure she will speak when the time is nini. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I want to say that Personally, I don't fear Ruto. And this question is also very suggestive. I must be very open with you, and I must tell you this. And it insinuates that you people are willing to host Ruto. I don't fear Ruto, and I don't want a space with Ruto because there is no new lie that Ruto will tell us that we've never had. Actually, I must tell you that I would trust Satan than trusting words of Ruto. That is the man that will never, never, ever tell you a truthful thing. So that is the reason why I don't even think of hosting a space with Ruto. It is not a good idea at all, because I want to tell you, don't think that if you host a space with Ruto, that it will be, you will be given even a chance to speak. Those who will speak there will be selected, and they will be their people. That I must tell you. I can guarantee you that. So after that space, you know, many people will be there, many listeners will be there. And thereafter, what will happen? Utasikia kwamba aliperform vizuri, alisema vizuri. Because he's an orator. Ruto knows how to talk. He will say very many sweet language, very many sweet things that wakati ametoka hapo, mutasikia bas, amesema. But Ruto is no one to, he's somebody that you cannot trust one bit. So for that reason, I can say that I wouldn't wish that we host a space with Ruto. Going back to the things that I want to say, I have been into many spaces. I have been saying this over and over and over. Our weapon that has made us come this far, that has brought us this far, is being that we are leaderless. And I pray that we remain so. So for anybody who thinks, you see, there are so many people that their names are being flouted out there. Oh, so and so, because they think that, okay, they are influencers because they have many followers. But like Jeanette, you are not hosting spaces before, but you're just coming up. I want to say that I want to encourage us, follow each other, follow one another, so that we have so many people that can even be able to host spaces. Because Ruto will keep on buying people. If he buys Anifa, we have Osama. If he buys Osama, we have Jeanette. If he buys Jeanette, we have somebody. Let us keep on following each other, and let us make us, that will make us strong. Because if we are leaderless, we're saying we are leaderless and we are following only the spaces of few individuals, then what about if those individuals are captured? What will we do? And therefore, that is why I'm encouraging us that let us follow each other, so that we get many people that can be able to host. If you see somebody host a space, go on there, say whatever you have to. Actually, whatever should be coming out of us is the anger. Whatever you feel that Ruto has done to you, which is so bad, that should be the moving factor that is taking you out there to speak your voice, to say what you want to be done. And again, we must remember that we've lost our comrades. Their blood is not in vain. I feel so much pain when I think that we have lost many people. One life is way too many to lose. We have lost 39. There may be even more. But here is a guy who wants to come to us and his hands is full of blood. These people cannot change. And more, we should focus on these members of parliament. This I'm telling you guys. We should focus on these members of parliament. Because you see, yesterday, if anybody watched the Senate yesterday, we have brought sanity even to the parliament, of which right now you can even hear, the Senate, they are speaking the language that we want to hear. But we now want action. It should be followed by action, but it will only be followed by action if we don't tire, if we keep on talking, if we keep on going out there. But if we say that, oh, this is over, and I'm glad, yesterday I said that we are not calling off Mandamano. They don't know when we will go and when we will not go. Nobody even called it off, but today people did not go. The police were in the street. Those are the tactics that we are supposed to use. They will be on the street until everything that we want is done. When we will go out there, they will not even know when we will be out there. Those are the strategies that I think we need to employ to make this government listen to us. Ruto is not somebody that will resign, but me, everything I post, I must always put a hashtag, Ruto must go. Anything I do, I must always put on that hashtag should keep on going and going and going. But I'm telling you, what we have done as Gen Zs, what we have done as millennials, what did we have done as the young people in this country, we have hit Ruto below the belt. And Ruto right now is a fearful man. I'm telling you, Ruto right now, he's in panic. Everybody knows this. Because even if he speaks, he don't speak like the way he always speaks. But he's a man that you cannot trust with his words. That is why we are saying that we must continue. One thing that when he spoke, I saw that this is something that if we do, I still don't know how we can do it, but if we can do that, we will have, hold his right balls after hitting him below the belt. And this is bringing down this illegal housing levy. That is one thing that Ruto cherished so much. And that is one point that I took from all his statement, that he values that so much. So that is where we need to do something. And then this issue of IEBC, we need to focus on those two areas. We need to focus on those two areas. And the hashtag Ruto must go. As much as we know that he will not resign, as much as we know that he will not go that way, we need to focus on that. We also know that everything we do it constitutionally. And therefore, there is nothing he will do to us if we keep on doing things and we do them in the parameters of the Constitution. There is nothing that Ruto is going to do to us. He will keep on killing, but he will not kill all of us. He will keep on arresting. He cannot arrest all of us. So we will continue with this, and we will not say that we have called off. Right now, tomorrow you will see them in Parliament, or wherever in the spaces that they go to, starting say, oh, sanity has come back, and therefore life continue business as usual. They will still go back to where they have been to. So kindly, please, let us don't tire. But this question of whether we want to host Ruto, this is suggestive. Whoever wants to host Ruto, you go ahead and host Ruto. But I tell you, I guarantee you, there is nothing that you're going to come with from there that will say that we have won. Like we said that we went on the street and we have won. Sanity has started coming to our leaders. Actually, right now, if you are even in the street, there is no sirens to clear the roads. There are no flags being flown around. Right now, we are all the same. They know that the people are, power belongs to the people. So we need sanity. We need sanity. And therefore, I'm saying, kindly, please, let us focus and let us don't relent. We must keep on this hashtag going, Ruto must go. Ruto must go. That in everything you do, we must say Ruto that must go. And those two issues which I have mentioned, I don't know the tactics that we can employ so that we can be able to, to achieve those. But those are two factors that if we can achieve, then we will be good. And I think these members of parliament, this recall that we are talking about, it should be going on, because I know that we have some people who are, like for instance, people from the Orange Democratic Party. They had started. They said they promised they are going to recall them. We are also watching, because we are now watching both. We are even partyless. Even those members of Orange Democratic that they said they are going to recall, we are watching them. And I know they are also here. We are watching you. And we want to see if you will stand to your words. If you cannot, then it means you are not in our struggle. You are supporting Ruto to continue with the things that he wants to, because maybe some of us, we don't have even that power to go. Some of us do not even know where to start to recall a member of parliament. You people who are in that parliament, who know the laws, who have said that you want to do it, please help us do it so that we know that you are in this struggle with us. So kindly, please, I will not speak so much more than what I have said. I always have so much to speak, but I always don't like to speak so much so that I can give other people opportunity also to speak. But I'm saying, kindly let us follow each other. That will show that we are leaderless. Find somebody. Ukiona mtu amesema jambo yenye imekuguza, make sure you follow that person. Make sure that is how you will get to follow all the people that you know, and therefore it will mean that if they buy or get hold of the Jeanette here, we have somebody else coming up. If they get hold of that, that will show that we are leaderless. Let me tell you guys, this issue of being leaderless, it has brought us this far. People have been fighting us. People have been saying, oh, you cannot move anywhere if you are headless. That headless is what has brought sanity. So we will continue being leaderless. We will continue being leaderless. But hosting a space with Ruto, I don't think it will achieve anything. That is the reason why I'm saying we don't need to have a space with Ruto. Ruto knows what we want, actually. I'm even wondering, he knows what we want. So we need action. We need action. That is what is so important. We need action. If he would have, brought down his...
don't worry.
Say that again?
Revolution, just a minute. No, I'm saying like you are landing, so just ash it down kidogo so that the rest of the guys also can get an opportunity now.
Yeah, I was just almost done. I'm just saying that this issue of being leaderless is what has brought us this far. So let nobody lie to us that we need to have leaders to give people who are like they can be the ones who must host and things like that. So with those many remarks, I would want to say, like, let us continue like that. And to the co-host, I must also tell you something. This is a sentiment which you said and which I don't think it is good with us. We don't subscribe to that. Saying like, oh, sijui mtu anakaa kama Wakamba, sijui anafanya nini nini. We are tribeless. So please don't bring that to us. Don't ever bring that to us. That one, I must tell you, we are very careful, and we are very careful with our words, please. So we are tribeless. Let us respect every community. Let us respect everybody as one people. Thank you.
Thank you, the revolution. I would like to clarify a bit on when Kenya said you're talking as a
Can you hear me?
Wait a minute, Dr. Jefferson. So he was saying that on a light note. He's also pia ni Mkamba, so that was on a light note. Maybe it was what is it called? Distasteful, yeah, but it was on light note. So don't take it that seriously.
No, I don't take it seriously. Even me, I'm not a Kamba, but you see, I feel for them because we are advocating that we are tribeless. So let us mind our words. Let us don't start speaking like those members of parliament that has been talking shit. So with those few remarks, thank you.
Saw the revolution. Also, I wanted to say, you mentioned that I don't host spaces, but I've been hosting spaces for over almost a year now at Mindscape Africa. So ukifungua profile yangu on the bio, there is a link that will take you to the Mindscape platform. So when things cools down, easy vitu za politics zikiisha, we normally host spaces on taboo topics and job and career topics. So feel free to also follow Mindscape Africa. I don't know who will go next. Sankara, maybe you can pick up next.
No, Jefferson has been waiting for a minute, so I don't know whether anaweza pata chance, then Sankara can jump in.
Oh, sawa.
Okay.
Dr. Jefferson?
Okay. Unanipata kweli?
Okay, who is speaking?
Mnanipata kweli?
Jefferson, ongea,
Tunakupata.
unasikika.
Sasa
Kwani
nilikuwa
unatuma
nasema
salamu?
Hapana, nilikuwa nasema hivi. Hebu tusirudi nyuma kabisa. Manake we give Ruto time to re-strategize himself. atatupanga vibaya sana. By 2027 he must be the president, manake kule atatembesha bribery kila kona and then we'll lose it. So ni tuendelee na huu moyo ambao tuko nao, tusirudi nyuma kabisa. Manake ndio maana unaona watu kama Kinosoro wamshikashika huko nyuma, manake wao wanajua kama huku kwa Museveni watafanya hivyo hivyo huku Kenya. So tusirudi nyuma kamwe, tafadhali tuendelee na hivyo hivyo.
Asante sana Dr. Jefferson. I hope umemaliza. One guy.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to jump in and add my voice to whatever been said, and I thank everyone who has contributed. Actually, it's a healthy discussion, and I appreciate. To the topic of today, yenye wameuliza kwani mnaogopa Ruto? Why don't you guys want a space? Actually, I'll respond to this in this way. We've had a lot of texts. Tunasema tuko partyless, tuko tribalist, na tuko issue based, na tuko leaderless. But I tend to oppose the idea yenye tuko leaderless because the direction to head tukiwa leaderless yenye like let's take an example here, Twitter. If these are very it's a topic that is trending, na kila mse anataka kujihusisha na everything that is happening in Kenya, the current affairs, you will come to realize that every account yenye iko na huge following, it'll lose meaning when I involve could discuss the current affairs because kila msa shift attention kwa politics. What will happen ni tutapata watu wenye si experts in the field leading a movement yenye hawana enough knowledge in it. Now, for example, you can find something like football. Watu wanataka kujihusisha na football, and then you find girls discussing football just to fit in. This is what will happen here. Tukisema tuko leaderless, tutachukua watu wenye hawana idea ni nini constitutional step tutachukua ndo to achieve our next target of our maandamano. Tumeenda street, yes, but what are the important steps nafaa tufanye? Jua sawa kwa najua hata tutoa Ruto kama wajareconstitute IBC tutafanya nini? Because people don't have a know-how, but because it's an affair yenye ina touch kila mse, people want to hijack the movement, waitumie for likes or things like that don't add up actually. Inafaa tusikue kama Ruto because Ruto mwenyewe cabinet yake ina compromise people wenyewe, si bureaucrats, si technocrats. Anachukua mtu kama Nahumicha anamweka kwa docket ya health, mtu mwenye ana idea kitu nafaa ifanyike. That's why utapata the direction tuna head haitakuwa legit. I think inafaa tuke partless, tribeless, issue based, but haifai tuko leaderless at some point. If we come to reassess it well, inafaa tukuwe na wase when at least wako na know-how ya constitution, people who know ni steps gani inafaa tuchukue na tukue on the right movement. Another thing kwa history ya Ruto, actually Ruto amaamua kuside with his political friends na abandon the common mwananchi. In this sense, Ruto knows at some point akidrop mtu kama Linturi, the Meru people watarevolt, watasema mtoto wetu amefukuza ama amechema. Ruto knows akienda a narrow down on these people who are corrupt, the likes of kina Didmas Baraza, the Bukusu will rise up and say huyu alikataa mtoto wetu. So he's holding on these friends of his when anajua that are corrupt just because of one thing. He knows he needs these people come 2027. He cannot risk to lose his political friends for the sake of common mwananchi. Na Ruto mwenyewe amesema Ruto actually feeds on attention. Ruto, his mode of campaign, alitumia mama mboga, alikuja na bottom up, like something yenye inabuy emotions kwa wananchi kabisa, ndo tukamchagua. So for us to give him attention right now, tumsikize atuambie kile anataka, itakuwa idea yenye make sense kabisa. Because kila msee nimesikia kwa hii space akisema Ruto knows what we want. Si atajui, Ruto knows actually. Na hata tukisema tunataka kumpea space akuja ongea, nitakuongea na sisi Twitter, hatuna any leadership, nani atakuwa na give out hata mic? Watu wanaanza kusema oh iko biased. Hakuna mse ameset hata topics za kudiscuss. Itakuwa tu something yenye tunampea platform ya campaign kwa don things zenye haizi fulfill. Kama kwa campaign manifesto yake haja fulfill things zenye alitu promise. Sasa sisi tunataka kumpea space akuja ongee, atu promise vitu zingine zenye still hata achieve. What for? And then another thing nimesikia wasa kisema like watu wameturn up kwa street and like hizi demos as adapt nini, people are giving up and everything. Actually, let me borrow the words of Martin Luther Jr. Alisema, the moral arc of universe is long, but bends towards justice. Now, people who know the meaning of the arc bending towards justice know that it cannot bend on its own. It must be pulled. And who are the people who will pull the thing? Ni sisi na hiyo, that the slow but sure man demo that we've been doing. Kidogo kidogo, at some point we didn't wake up and found Kenya ikiwa penye iko. There are people who gave a lot of effort. While you fight, while in the street, people like Raila, they did their best actually. Hii transformation inakujanga step by step. Haiwezi kuja tu huge results at once and then seme that we are good, tusha achieve, tumefanya 2 weeks na tuna expect huge results actually. This voice of dissent yenye tuna express kwa streets, actually it's giving results. Because that's why nasema re-strategize and then we attack every weak point kwa Ruto's government, tukisolve step by step, itakuwa very good direction actually. So I will still insist, as long as I saw wana oppose idea kuwa na leaders, because wana feel other people will take credit for it. At some point manze, for every successful fight lazima kukwetu na mse mwenye atalidwa say into something. We've seen that from history. We are good students of history and we've learned these things. So I think that's the much I had, and I yield my time to other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana One Guy, for your sentiment. Victor, pick it up.
Oh, yes, Janet, I'm going to be a little bit self-righteous and brutal. So musini rushe inje. Just listen to me. I think one of the problems that we have as a country is instant gratification. We want to go to the streets today, and then tomorrow we see changes. You guys, we need to read a bit of history. And even if you don't read a bit of history, try to listen to people, try to listen to minds that there's a Kenyan scholar called Wandia Njoya. She speaks about these things almost every day. You are dealing with a generation that never made anything, never built anything, and suddenly have found themselves in power. Yeah. So even this idea of going to listen to Ruto on a space, I mean, what are you expecting to hear that you've not heard before? He will still tell you the same things that, oh, tumepanga, tumetenga, tutafanya, sijui nini na nini na nini na nini. Look, I've realized that the last 2 weeks when we had these demonstrations, the best thing that we did is we ignored politicians. We ignored them fully. And then you saw what happened on Tuesday. They came out because they are seeking attention. And when they are seeking attention, we are here discussing whether to give them that attention. Rather, we should be focusing on our own desires and our own needs. You realize that in this country, whether it was Kenyatta, whether it was Moi, whether it was Kibaki, I mean, Kibaki, the first, when NAC was coming in, that was the first time that we as a country ever discussed or ever had a social contract of how we want to be governed. But when Kibaki came into power, the honchos around him betrayed the cause. And that is what led to the government breaking in 2005. And then we had the post-election violence in 2007. Then Ruto, when they came in, they had no vision. There was nothing. It was an ICC thing. People were voting to embarrass ICC. And then that led us here. So what you realize, every president, apart from Kibaki in the first term, whenever they've come in, They have their own ideas about how they want to run the country. None of us is part of that idea. Yeah. And that is why you even see public participation in this country is something very useless. Yeah. Because we even told them before we went to the streets about this finance bill, we don't want this thing. It's going to cost us, it's going to dig deeper. We are going to dig deeper into our pockets. And there are certain things that we are going to forgo. But they never listened. They still went ahead and did what they did. Who in their right mind sits down? Who in their right mind sits down and says we are going to tax bread? We are going to tax motor vehicles. Oh, we are going to tax diapers and pads. Who in their right mind does that? It's not like Kenya is a high income economy like Norway or Singapore or South Korea, where people can readily afford these things. We have girls who are dropping out of school because they cannot simply go to school with dignity because they lack pads. But somebody somewhere is thinking of taxing these things. These are the people that you want to sit down to talk to. Actually, you want to sit down to talk to them. And when they even came on national television, watched by everyone, and they are asked to justify why they are putting tax on bread, you heard the promoter of the bill saying that they are trying to solve diabetes. The vehicle tax, the guy could not even explain why they want to do the vehicle tax. And then you want to sit down. We are now debating whether we should go to Ruto's space or not. And we are losing the plot. Politicians are trying to regain their space, and we are giving them attention. So you are even seeing that charade in the Senate. It's a charade. Suddenly they are having a Damascus moment. It's like all these things that we've been tweeting or talking about on Twitter or just plainly, like it's like they've never had. Sasa saizi ndio wameona. They are playing to the gallery. And we being Kenyans, when you want tunasahau, we are not outraged. We should be kemering them and even asking them, if you're seeing this now and you're seeing this thing now, maybe it's time to go so that we get people who actually understand the problem and then they can solve that problem. So guys, let's focus. I keep tweeting this. Let's focus. We don't have a social fabric of how we want to be governed. We, the generation Y and the generation Z, and maybe the generation Alpha, we don't have a social fabric of how we want to be governed. People like Ruto's age mates, when they finished school, there were jobs. When they finished, even if you didn't go to college, when you finished high school, you could go farm, make money. Right now, and because they live that way, they don't know how to deal with this current problem. That is why the Minister of Education, Ezekiel Mashogu, is older than Kenya. He's almost 70. So he's older than Kenya. And that's the guy you want to shape policies for education of the future. Hakuna mali tunaenda. Yeah, hakuna mali tunaenda. So I like to tell people who host spaces, if you have a big following and you're hosting spaces, find a subject that is important to you. You can even say, my goal is to make sure that we want to have increased forest cover in Kenya. We want to have 1 billion trees or 15 billion or 30 billion trees, and make that your pet subject. You will find people who want to join that movement. Then focus on the Ministry of Environment. Put pressure there. Hashtags, posters, banners. If you have to go and camp in front of the Ministry of Environment, go and camp. That is how we will drive changes here. But kama mnataka kwenda kukua gaslit, ati mnataka kusikiza rais ati wao amesema hii, wao amesema hii, he will not do anything because he is not of this generation. He doesn't know what we want. That is why every time he speaks, oh, we have a plan. Oh, we have a plan. And keeps repeating the same thing. Or ile kazi ya Ruiru, or sijui tumepeleka watu ng'ambo, or sijui housing project. What about biologists? What about people who did urban design? What about graphic designers? What about computer scientists? What about mechanical engineers? What about that? So this guy is not serious. So do not give him, I'm telling you this, let us not give these politicians attention. Stave them of that attention. Let us do our things, organize our spaces. Wakuje hapa now watu wao wasikie. By the way, those people are discussing on how they are planning to enact, or they are planning to come up with a bill kusema that from the next parliament tunataka MP atakuwa na earn 1400 ama 1300. Hakuna kupita hapo. Those are the things that we are supposed to be discussing, because that is how a nation is shaped. And we have that power. Once we start making that a discussion, news media will pick it up. International media will pick it up. And they're like, by the way, there's this space where these people always discuss this. And we come with facts. Why should an MP be paid this? Why should an MCA be paid this? Why do we even still have a Ministry of Health at the national level, a Ministry of Agriculture at the national level? A whole government is still distributing fertilizer, a whole government. Things that should be done at the local ward inafanywa na national government. No wonder we are getting sand instead of fertilizer. So hizi ndio discussion inafaa tukue nazo, rather than we want to be gaslit more. Kwani hamjachoka? Hata jana mkuona msichana wake akituambia ati yeye she's one of us. Do you think that girl has ever lacked butter or walked barefoot or even lacked pads growing up? Which most of us here probably walked barefoot to school. Most of us here probably don't even know what they're going to eat tonight. Yeah, but some.
Daktari, I think we've lost you.
As I finish,
this
battle.
Oh, he's back.
Yes, as I finish, this battle is not only a physical battle; it's a mental battle. Largely a mental battle. So if you just think that going to the streets will help us, hiyo ni sawa, kuna kitu itafanya. But mostly it's gonna be a mental battle. Lazima tumakinike kiakili. It means investing in reading, investing in research, investing in data at a personal level. Ili ukiwa hapo frontline, you know what to do. Na tuachane na hii maneno ya ati asijui tunatafuta leaders nini. No, leaders wanatokea tu wenyewe. Because you know the kind of leadership you people are talking about is an appointed leader. Like Janet here and Mkenya, they are now leaders here because they are hosting this space, but we've not appointed them. So once you appoint a leader, you lose the cause because everybody has a prize. So let us first coalesce together tujue ni Kenya gani tunataka going forward. Once we have a few programs in space that define the kind of Kenya we want, then we can say, okay, who wants to lead this thing? Watu watajitokelezea tu. But hata saizi Mkenya ama hata academia ingie kwa hiyo siti ya Ruto saizi, with the way the structure of government is, he will still be Ruto, he will still be Uhuru, he will still be Jomo Kenyatta, he will still be Moi, because the fundamental problem is the feudal design of the Kenyan government. It was not meant to serve the common man. Asante.
Janet, kwani una break kidogo? Mnamsikia vizuri? I think mnamsikia vizuri?
Amniski?
Sai tunakusikia. I also wanted to correct something on someone who was insisting on having an appointed leader or something. I don't think we are. I don't think what we are having is leaderless. Like Atuko in that sense of when like the self-appointed leader. That way, you get what we've done is we've introduced what we call like the consensus approach. The consensus approach is whereby we can be able to check each other for the common good of everyone, and that is something that has been so effective. So hiyo kupush narrative ya ati mtu mwenye anasema mnajua tukikuwa leaderless tutakosa direction. Hapana, the reason why we are leaderless is to create a consensus approach. If someone says something, then other people want to counter check, and now people are vigilant and increase the level of people being vigilant, and so many other kwani mtu anaongea?
Yes.
So I hope I'm not interfering with anyone. Let me just hold the mic. Aongee.
Okay, who is speaking? Mkenya ulimaliza?
Okay, yeah, I was saying something but sijui kama like bado nilikuwa nasikika, that's why I was
Tunakusikia.
Okay, like I just wanted to tell the guy who was thinking ati kukua ati na ile ati tushachukua mtu mmoja. No, I want you to understand like Janet here could not be like an expert in everything, but si ati amejiappoint kama leader or anything. What he has done is and I bring this conversation. So most of the Kenyans know are resilient. I'm not waiting for Janet anza kuniambia my next move or anything. No, if something is discussed, then through a consensus approach, like there can be that aspect of this was really agreed on. People felt like yes, this is good for everyone. Then aspect ingine ni transparency and accountability. Naona it may increase. So hii aspect ya kama unaona kama like the way Anifa did, when we are saying we might be like the aspect of yes we are leaderless, yes, but also you need to understand kuna hiyo aspect ya kuna hiyo mtu akiteka certain role, there is that aspect of transparency and accountability ina increase a lot because kuna hiyo because example, a very good example that has worked during this time that we are leaderless is example ya Anifa. So Anifa alichukua hiyo responsibility ya collecting the funds za wale watu wenye wako hospitali na kwenda kulipa. If there was aspect of a leader, so is Mkenya Daima is a leader, ningekuja niambia Anifa sasa I can collude with her and we could have tunaweza fanya vitu chini ya maji, but this way it increases the transparency and everything. So I think whatever we are doing, the leaderless approach is good for the movement. It's really good. So that unapata if someone picks a role to do certain thing, there is the aspect of transparency iko higher, but he's not a leader to anyone. He's answerable to all of us. That is I think that's something good, and hiyo inaleta hiyo kuchekiana. And yeah, so I think msifikiria ati being leaderless that is a bad thing. Inaleta hiyo, or even tena the collective to vigilance may increase. So there is a lot, and inclusivity and ownership of the decisions that we are making may increase. So guys, I want you to understand this is a good approach. I mean, I've seen it work in decentralized finance, the aspect of aspects the Bitcoin and decentralized organization, the DAOs and but that's not what I wanted to explain here, because you see domain ya kila mtu in a layman's language, this approach is working and is the best approach because it has so much good and it's good for making decisions in the society. Thank you.
Asante sana. And also to add on to what you've said, history a leader, as much as people would like to deny the fact that hakuna leaders, kuna watu who people, especially on Twitter, kuna watu who people look up to because they have big numbers, and utapata kuna siku we were to go to maandamano the following day, and ilikuwa we were pushing for occupy state house, yeah, and when those guys came and said that apana, it's risky, let's not do this, I won't advise people to do this, people really got confused and decided they won't go to occupy the state house. So definitely kuna watu who lead like certain numbers, so kitu unaweza sema is let the corruption in our country lead you and guide you to your next decision. Ikikuja kwa hizi stories za maandamano, if you're going to show up, ikwe like shida imekutoa kwa nyumba, usiongoje mtu aseme like Mkenya kuja kuambia like tutokeze streets or something like that. Ukwe tuna hiyo initiative, whether Mkenya is going to come out or not, at the end of the day, because you're led by yourself, you're going to show up. So story leaders will deny, but tunaonanga what is it called, those schedules zinaitwa like timetable ya maandamano imetolewa, if that's the word. My Kiswahili is not that good. Tunapatanga timetable iko hapo and then people follow it. So there are people coming up with these things and guys follow it. So one guy, you are speaking and someone interjected, so one guy go, and then Mwando follow immediately next. One guy. Okay, Mwando.
Hey everybody. One guy umerudi kwa mic kama niendelee. Naona umemute sasa. Okay, I guess nitaendelea. Janet, unanisikia eh?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Hey, after Victor ameongea nilikuwa nataka tu ni drop mic juu ni kama amecover everything I wanted to cover, but I'll go ahead niseme kwani mnaogopa Ruto. Hapana, huyu mtu hakuna haja apatiwe space na mtu akae tu penye yako ajiongeleshe, akisikia atajibu maswali, there's enough questions for him ajibu, amesikiza spaces enough, anaweza hold press conference alafu tutaiangalia YouTube tukijisikia. Lakini according to my leader, nyinyi najua mnasema hamna leader, mimi niko na yeye, na leader wangu sasa amekuwa Jacob Juma. Jacob Juma amesema hakuna haja niwashe TV nijiangalilie mtu, so it will be the same thing over and over. In terms of influencers, kuna kitu ili happen ile day after the maandamano was very successful, na there is something mimi nataka ni preach kwa watu. Niambie Victor sijema ameenda juu simuoni hapa anymore. About 3 years ago, najua Mkenya sijema nakumbuka, I used to host spaces kitambo, nikaacha nikapotea kabisa, nimerudi spaces juu ya hii kitu. Sio lazima ukuwe na followers wengi ndio host spaces. I remember one of the best spaces I ever had ilikuwa na over what 2000 people, unakumbuka hiyo Mkenya? Na back then kupata even 1000 was a big deal, like it was a big deal. Now, you know, we used to talk about this stuff and more kuzungumza kuona, you know, what do you like about being a Kenyan and all that. We need to be honest, sisi wenyewe wa Kenya. Easy conversation, when we have these conversations hapa, mimi na wewe Janet, mimi na Mkenya, medical, whoever is here, we are all like-minded people, and if we are not like-minded people, kuna vile thoughts zetu zinakaribiana. Tuko na hii knowledge, but tukikosa kupeleka hii conversation kwa manyumba zetu, we are failing so much, because what has happened in the last 2 weeks imeonyesha the true colors of the Kenyan people. I am glad that tulifika mahali tukakuwa united sisi wote, tukatokelezea. People like Kimani Ichung'wah had to fight so hard to divide us in the name of Uber, KFC, and you know, na maji ya chupa. This is because walishindwa. Mnashikana aje bila kujua wewe ni Mkikuyu, wewe ni Mkale, wewe ni Mluo, wewe ni Mkamba. How are you guys so united? It never made sense to politicians, because the tribal line has been used very, very accurately. Like wameitumia vizuri sana kutugawanya. So tusiposhikana sisi wenyewe tupeleke hizi conversation nyumbani. Juu mtu kama Kimani Ichung'wah, and I come from Kikuyu, this is why this touches me directly. Amefanya kazi kwetu, mimi siwezi wadanganya. Kikuyu is good. Kikuyu wamejenga mabarabara, shule, everything. Like what a taxpayer needs to be done in a constituency, Kimani Ichung'wah has done. But that does not give him the right akuje atugawanye sisi wenyewe kwa wenyewe, because huo mtu wa Uber, that is my sorry, someone is calling. That mtu wa Uber, that is my brother, that is your brother. You know, mtu wa boda boda, that is my brother, that is your brother. If it's not your brother, that is your cousin. You know, it goes on. Like, we are related with these people. Lakini sisi ndio tunawajua. I mean, if you come from any part of Kenya, unajua sio kila mtu ako na Twitter, sio kila mtu ako na TikTok ama Facebook. So tusipopeleka hii conversation nyumbani, we are failing. In terms of influence, ndio nimalize niondoke. In terms of influencers that day, man, I was watching Twitter for 35 hours. I was on my phone, just tweeting, retweeting everything. Sikulala. Influencers wakakuja hapa just to align with the movement because they didn't want to get cancelled. I don't know how anyone feels when I say this, but to me, that is the reality. Most of them have never fought for anything because most of them benefit from this government and the punitive corruption. Penye corruption imefika Kenya is too much. So tusipoungana sisi wenyewe, because one of to me there's only one influencer nafuatanga from way back, ni Njugush. Ukiangalia, hopefully haitampata kwa ubaya, but ukiangalia Njugush from the very word go, from kitambo sana, Njugush has been consistent calling out these things. But hiyo day ya kuongea. So to me, those are the people that, you know, Yes, ako sawa, but hao wengine wote they had the loudest voices. But if you go back to their track record, they're working with the same people. It's okay to work with them, lakini tuangaliane, tuambiane ukweli. So to me, I want to live with this. Victor had nailed everything, so I really didn't need to add anything. But I want to add this. I want to just say this. Let us be very honest with each other, and let us take this conversation nyumbani. Nyumbani kwetu, shosho, auntie. Let's change these people's mind, because msisahau hawa watu, they, they have a lot of influence kidogo. And if you remember, if all of you remember, vile maandamano za kwanza zili happen, the very first year, the very first Tuesday, when Tuesday happened, nobody took this thing seriously, even the government itself, because walikuwa wanaona si ni watu tu wako tu social media, they are saying they'll go. Nobody expected them to go and make it happen the way it happened. This goes to show now on that same Tuesday, tweets mingi we were seeing zilikuwa za jokes za mi nilifika home, sikuambia madhe kwenye naenda, sikuambia sis kwenye naenda, because they wouldn't tell them, because they were risking the fact that ana atakatazwa kuenda. So we have to all come together, take this conversation back to our houses, back to our homes. Let's do that, and I promise you all ita change. Alafu, to the county governments, huku chini, if you work in a ministry, you know something is fishy, you're afraid to call it out. To me, I'm to come as Cyprian Nyakundi. This guy, if he has nothing, he'll send it out. And that's enough. Sitaongea sana, but let's not forget, pia sisi ukitishwa na karao, so 50 bob, haukatai kutoa juu ya kitu ingine, unakataa kutoa because the judiciary is not working. I mean, ukiangalia the last few days vile kumeenda, watoi wanapigwa, unaona mtoi anaenda kotini, he's limping, he hasn't been fed for what, 3-4 days. What kind of country are they running? I mean, anyway, ni hivyo, nimevent ya kutosha, pole.
No, it's fine, Mwando. That's the main reason we host these spaces, so that everyone can give their opinion na kila sauti isikizwe. So feel free, welcome kabisa. Naona academia umeinua mkono sana. You'll go next, and then Ax. Academia.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm not opposed to Ruto people hosting or Ruto hosting or the president hosting people, because he's the president of the country or of Kenya. If he wants to meet people, he is free to do so. Only that he's not meeting people on X to deal with the question of why Gen Zs or why people are on the street. I think that's a different thing. And if that is the case, then that is dead on arrival. So it is not going to work, because I've watched some clips from some young people from Mombasa, and they're saying that if president wants to meet them, let him go around the country, exactly what he did in 2022 when he was looking for votes. So he did not call people on Twitter or on any other platform to talk to them. So he went where they are and told them what he was going to do for them. And unfortunately, to my best knowledge, I haven't seen anything significant that the government has done. Because look, you don't need to tell people what you are doing. Just do it, people will see. This is the bandwagon fallacy of this administration. They are trying to justify why certain things have not yet been done and other things. It is not. Hello, somebody's talking.
No, you're the one speaking.
Okay. So I think the president does not need to try convincing Kenyans. It doesn't need to be defensive, because these are what we call objective reality. So when objective reality kicks in, you cannot challenge it with the oral evidence. The interviews are oral evidence, but what are the objective reality? The objective reality is that people are angry, because there is no food, punitive taxes and all that. So they are supposed to do, let them just do the right thing. Let us not come back to us and tell. Do you think what people are going to discuss? The president doesn't know. President knows everything. He is in the custodian of our money. He knows how much we collect, and he knows what to do with them. So this fallacy of coming to Twitter or the X space so that we can get, you see, in any discussion, there will be structured way on how to carry it out. Otherwise, you cannot do a conversation or a dialogue if there is no structures. So there must be structures. So it would mean that the moment you've submitted yourself to that discussion, you relinquish your mandate to oversight and any other thing. So you leave it to the authority to decide on your behalf, because they will have that space, discuss all those, or even if there are questions, they will be listed. And then what happens? Because you don't have authority to implement that, you are giving them your suggestions that you think should be done. Unfortunately, government does not work like a private company or like a private entity where you decide today you are going to do this. It doesn't work like that. It will tell you that these are good, but we must follow law. And what does law say? In a particular this and this, it can't be done. In this and this, it can't be done. The other time, he asked people that the Linturi was freed by the Senate, I don't know, and then he was found not guilty. But everybody knows that the man is as guilty as charged, but in the eyes of other people, is not guilty. So the president would easily tell you that he's following law. It was vindicated. So the public cannot then force themselves to say that this person is corrupt and therefore you must fire him. The president will ask you, he has been freed, so what do I have to do? He has been found not guilty of any offense, and that's the law. So what will you do? So the perception by the public, not necessarily implemented by the people in authority, because you are the governed, and the governing authority is one of them is the president, and we will always stick to law. So any engagement you are entering into, you must abide by the engagement rules. So he's not coming to do what you want. He's coming to listen to those things. After that, there is a time frame on how to go over those things. It has never worked anywhere. And one thing you have to take home is that when it comes to negotiations or dialogue, you can't beat the governing authority, or rather, you can't beat the government. It is impossible to beat them. And that's the reason why even the professional bodies like doctor, teachers, they normally go to street for them to be heard. For any fruitful thing to be achieved, you must push. The moment you engage them professionally, like you want to dialogue, it will always end in their hands. You will always play into their hands. And we have seen it from the days of immemorial. There is nothing we have achieved as a country without going to the street and pushing hard. And again, as I end, because I don't want to take my time, people are here, let me say this. This movement is branded Gen Z movement. And if people are honest enough to change Kenya, or they want a new Kenya, then everybody must be a participant. If you leave it to a clique of group, it will fail. There is a group that will say we wanted finance bill to be dropped. There is a group that will say we want Ruto to go. There is a group that will say we want good governance. Now, these are three categories. So unless you merge them into one, anytime you are facing an opponent, don't go with so many demands. You always pick one which will overhaul everything. If it is good governance, whether finance, whether what, it all relies in good governance. So if it is good governance, let people say, regardless of who is there, because it's not a question of Ruto being in the office. It is a question of the system that put Ruto there. Because remember in 2007, I don't know whether I was born or I was alive or not, but I can relate that the same president we have today went on the street to advocate for justice. The essence of law is to get justice. That is the creation of law. We have law in place to get justice, simple. So when the president went on the streets, what was the idea? What was the reason? He went there on the street and we saw what happened to some people or all of us. Then after that, in 2017, I don't know whether it's in 2010 and all that, 2010, we have a new constitution, 2010. The same, our president, current president, voted against constitution. Now, 2013, he was the president as a result of the new constitution. Then 2017, then 2022, and today. So I've never seen him come out to tell us why he was opposed to that 20% that people believe there was 20% which is wrong. And he was saying that he voted against this document because there was 20% which is wrong. So as an honest leader, once you are now become a leader like him today, he would have started even by 2013 to say that there was something wrong with this thing, though the majority had their way. So this is what I was saying. And I would like Kenyans to reflect on the same. Today is the president. He's telling us to follow the constitution, which he fought very hard against. And you expect us to believe him. I can't believe such a person, honestly, with the justice. It's not even possible. Because in law, you cannot probate and reprobate. It doesn't work. You cannot say this isn't good at the same time you say it's bad. It is either good or bad. So, as I end, let me say this. If we want to change Kenya, all of us must come out. But if we leave it to some pieces of narrative that it is finance, it is Ruto must go, it is good governance, it is not going to work because we will be moving in different directions. So we have to focus in one. And for my suggestion, one element or one item that we should pick on and deal with it to the end is the question of good governance, because all those things are under one umbrella. Is that good governance? Unless we do away with the current system completely, there is nothing we are going to achieve. Don't allow to enter into dialogue with the government on your grievances, because they will follow law, and law does not give room for hearsays. There is no hearsay that you cannot bribe your way into the government. You must have a right way. So let me stop there, but let me say the last word. We either go in together or we get out, all of us. Otherwise, if we are not careful, we will be stuck singing the song of who is the leader, who is this. The leaders cannot be, this group cannot be a leader. The moment you start to talk like you are being professional about the revolution does not need professionals. It needs an agenda. And agenda is we remove these people from power through a democratic or constitutionally, which is let us stop everything, let us focus on civil education, we get people to get votes and all that. So come 2027, we vote the crooks out of the system completely, because I can see we are divided on various things. We are not even saying the same, we are not on the same page. So the moment you're not on the same page, they will use our narrative to divide us and defeat us. And we'll start accusing each other. Whether now they are saying the diaspora are pushing, the locals are okay, or all this narrative, it is the tactics of government, divide and rule method. If you're not very careful, they will divide it along the elite, along the border, along the diaspora, along the locals, along Nairobians, along up countries, along the coast, and in the end, they will dismantle it thoroughly. So don't allow that to come. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hello?
Sana Academia. One guy.
Okay. Hope you can get me now. Hello,
Yes.
Jeanette.
Yes.
You can
Yeah,
get me, okay?
I can get.
Okay,
Who
so
is speaking?
somebody has been hijacking my microphone so much. At least now you can listen to me. Thank you so much for this space that you've held. I want to begin by answering mnaogopa Ruto. Definitely nobody fears Ruto. And why don't you guys want a space with him? I think the fact that Ruto has responded to meeting the Gen Zs, the millennials in the space is a proof enough that he has got the information that we have been trying to pass him. Therefore, it means if he wants a space, then it means he just wants to go deeper into decimating the ongoing protests against his governance. I think this guy already knows what we want. He already knows the country is in the wrong direction. He already knows the grievances that everyone is trying to yell throughout the country. Now, this guy, the same guy who wants space, we went to the streets and this guy has the audacity to mobilize goons to dilute the protest, to misdirect the mission of where or what you want to achieve. What else is this guy really going to tell us in the space? So if anybody wants to join a space with Mr. Ruto, they can, but I can tell you forthright that this is one guy who is going to speak the same lies that he has been speaking. He spoke the same lies in the mainstream media with Kena Latif, Kina Ageyo. So I think basically we can listen to him however much we want, but his main agenda is to make sure that he deviates our attention from the ongoing protests. It is as simple as that. So if we give this guy room, and with his fluid mouth, I think he's going to manipulate so many guys who are going to attend that, and then we are going to leave that place like, I think we really need to give him time. And I don't think we are ready for that. We are going to dilute the whole concept of our demonstration. That is number one. Number two, Ruto has been held hostage by people who either funded him or people who he gets money from, or the people, his business associates in the government, whom are party to the looting spree that they're undertaking in the government. Now, this is one guy that I think we need to isolate an agenda and say, this week we are going to the streets. What is our agenda? The agenda cannot be Ruto must go, cannot be drop the finance bill. Two agendas at the same time. I think we need to choose on one agenda and say, Nakumincha is looting the health sector, coming up with a scheme, the shift scheme, that is going to, that is actually not solving the health crisis in the country. Now, we are going to the street saying that Nakumincha must go. That is if we go to the street with that as our theme, I think the whole country is going to listen to us. The government is going to listen to us. Now, when these MPs and these government executive officials and all the other arms of the government realize that they are being targeted by the Gen Z, they are going to remain isolated, and their power will be diluted and drained. And Ruto will realize that the people is looking up to as tribal kings and pins to look up to in 2027, he will say, these guys, they no longer hold the power I thought that they hold. So I really think he won't be able to work with them. So he can easily kick them out, knowing very well that they're not going to charge their tribe mates against him. I think let's go with one theme at a time. Number three, I want to speak about leaderless, tribeless, and partyless. We have an agenda going. Let us not be short term. We cannot do demonstrations throughout the year or for the next 3 years until 2027. Now, where are we headed as as a Gen Z or as millennials. I think we have joined hands as a team, and we are also trying to mobilize the whole country to give us or to do this alongside us. It's a revolution. Now, we have our parents. We have very ignorant people back in the village. Our parents, like you saw recently, a group of religious boomers went to an MP's house to cleanse his house after being burnt in a mandamano. Now, let us educate our people back at home. Let us educate our parents so that come 2027 or any other time that Ruto is speaking in the mainstream media, they will be able to know that this man is just mouthy. If our children don't trust him, why should we trust him? Remember, all our parents live for us. They are the people who have educated us. And if we really show them the dire situation which we are in because of Ruto, they're going to see, they will not be lied to by Ruto, because we all know that Ruto is a sweet talker. And I want to tell you guys, there's a saying that goes, an elephant can be eaten by ants. This is a spirit of working together and not losing focus. Anybody who is going to dilute or is going to make us lose focus on the agenda of a movement, we are not going to listen. Now, myself as an individual, I have the conviction, if I know that it is on Thursday that we are going to hold a revolution or we are going to hold a demonstration, I will go, regardless whether Mkenya Daima is saying that we are not going to the street. I will go, regardless whether Jeanette, who is an influencer, is not going to go to the streets. I have decided that I've woken up in the morning and I've decided that I'm going to the streets. So each and every one of us, let us have that personal conviction to go without listening to the influencers, because we all know that some influencers work for personal benefit. They are going to buy people, and they're going to buy individual people who are extremely influential, people like Mwangi. Now, am I going to listen to Mwangi because I know that I want to go? I'm not going to listen to Mwangi. So in a nutshell, let me summarize it by saying that let us hold together. Let us the spirit, what the particular thing you're suffering from, caused by this government, push you to the street. Let not be discouraged by an influencer. Let us give ourselves the energy every day. If you meet somebody in the Twitter spaces, just encourage them, just tell them, oh, my friend, whether so and so is saying you're not going to the streets, please don't listen to them. Let's go. I think also that is going to help us to maintain that energy and propel us to the street. The very last thing, I've been wanting to say this. Ruto is being pushed. Ruto is held hostage. Yes, we all know that. But there's an international body that is also holding Ruto hostage. That is the IMF. We have the US ambassador who has misled this government. She works like she's a citizen of this country. Once the country has been messed, she runs back to the US. Then what can we do? Let us mobilize a demonstration in the US embassy at Gigiri. Let us pick it upon ourselves, because I'm very sure once we hold a demonstration at the entrance of Gigiri, the embassy, the international media is going to catch that attention. The Al Jazeera, the CNN are going to air these things out, and they will say, my friend, we are painting a very negative picture about the US embassy, even in other countries. Let's stop this. Let us also put pressure on these international bodies that are creating this economic crisis that we're having, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. Otherwise, thank you guys, and let's continue in that spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana Wangai, for that contribution. My only concern is that you've spoken about 2027, and majority of Kenyans are pushing for Ruto must go, and it must be now. So I would like to hear your sentiments on that later on. So just hold that thought, kidogo. Let's Ax will speak, and then Dr. Dennis will speak after him. Ax.
Thank you so much, John. It's a pleasure. Guys, I've been listening to you guys, and I have just 3 concerns that I'm going to be talking about, giving my own view. Number 1 is on the leadership of the movement. About then on the topic today, kama tunaogopa Ruto, hatuogopi Ruto bana. So let me start with the space that the president has called upon the Gen Zs. Number one, for me, I'll say yes and no at the same time. Why yes? You know, they say remind them even if they know. We all know that Ruto knows what he wants. He knows what is wrong. He knows what he need to do. But what he wants is just like the other speaker just told. He want to get the deeper root. What is it that people are talking about? You understand? He want to listen to us. But the truth is, he has intel. Ruto ni mkora, and he's someone who is, even if you give brainwash a lot of people, especially if you don't know what's going around the world and you don't know what's really the agenda, where the finance bill came from. He's going to brainwash you. He's going to use the law to defend. He'll tell you, oh yes, this is possible, but you see this. Look at the example of the CS Lenturi's concept. When he was asked, he said, there's the accused, there's no evidence, you understand? So he'll bring the aspect of law. So if you're going to be using if he attends the Twitter space that he's going to be hosting tomorrow, we need to put everything in a crystal clear. We tell him this is what we need, this is what we want, so that he be aware. As why part excuse like, yo, I have been seeing protests all over, but they have never came to me and tell me this and this. So as why part nini excuse, so that if you go to the street, we tell you, Mr. President, we told you this and this, it has not been done. We told you this and this and this and this. You understand? If it is cabinet reshuffling, cabinet disbanding the old cabinet, he'll be there. We'll tell him, so that if you go to the street, we have also our justification point. You understand? The other side. In terms of leadership, in this movement, leadership for now is a no. Maybe later. There's someone who was trying to say like we've been pushing this, and some people are clueless in terms of law. You know, don't understand. Even if you push for maybe recalling the MPs, the context that is. At some point, I remember Kimunzi called a space, and it was that day he gave it to lawyers, and the lawyers broke down every little bit on the process of calling an MP or our MPs and all that. So if you come up with an approach where we engage, because Gen Zs, we are all over, we are in every sector, be it engineers, we have the lawyers, we have political analysts, we have everyone. If we can have these Twitter spaces where we can have like this special day, we are inviting maybe people who are well conversant with the political science, they understand. They broke down everything, because not everybody will go to school to learn law. Not everybody will read that constitution. So all we need is bring together the manpower. You understand? It has nothing to do with leadership. Leadership can come later. The manpower will be there to help us. You see the aspect of Anifa. She came in, helped in this. That was voluntarily. We have someone who is a doctor who came in, was there to mobilize blood donation and helping people. We have political analysts, we have this and that. You know, they'll tell us everything that is needed. You understand? That's what is called unity. You understand? You don't need a leader for that. We can have a group of people who can help us pushing this and that and that. That's done and dusted. I want to talk about something that many people don't know, and everybody has been talking about it, about the international community bodies and their influence. The problem that we have here in Kenya, we have two. We have internal, the one that we've been accumulating for so over a long time. Then we have the external aspect. If you look at the internal, the tribalism and all that, and those what the politician has been driving on. Oh, I'm to wait, understand? And we have different generations. Those ones we have now to deal with them individually. At our case, we have those problems where we have the corruption is the main thing, and lack of good governance. You understand? Those are the things that we need to push for. We have to have agenda, and the agenda here is not everything to do with Mutu must go. Good governance, and good governance means reshuffling everything. And I know it's not going to take time. It's not going to be today or tomorrow. It's going to take time, because it's a system that we're going to be fighting against, and it needs a unity for us to do it. So the internal ones, We all know them: corruption, bad governance, and the one thing that I've been praying for was tribalism, and it has, Gen Zs, we've shown it, like we can overdo it. We overcame it. So now it is us to be ambassadors to our parents, the Gen X, the boomers, and tell them, yo, this is the way forward. We've been in this problem for long. We have to convince them, and you have to lead them for now. You have to create that awareness, and they have to know. You understand? They have to know tribalism is not the problem. The problem is bad governance. You understand? Okay. Now I want to talk about external, the influence of this globalist. You know, we've been distracted. I remember sometime, it was back in 2022. Had this mentor of mine who was mentoring me in a business, and he used to talk about the globalist, the globalist agenda of one government and all that. And I used to tell them, I used to be like, yo, this guy is just talking, and this problem won't even. And he used to say, like, you might see it like, yo, it's going to be happening only in the Western countries, but it's going to come in your countries. And I was like, no, Kenya tutaifika hapo. Little did I know that in 2024, June, I'll be on the street demonstrating for the same. These guys, they mean business, and they are pushing the agenda, and they are doing it in policies, and they are doing it secretively. You'll never know. And they are going to bring every little distraction that you have. You see the taxing of the pads, hizo zilikuwa little things. Those are just distraction. The main agenda are the land, the agriculture, you understand, the health, you understand. And guys, if you don't fight now, and I'm sure Kenya is the test tube of all these agendas in Africa. They are going to push it. The other day I was surprised, like Ruto was talking about a big industrial park that was going to be built about for the manufacturing of the microchip. They are going to partner with Microsoft, and you also know who is the owner of Microsoft. You understand? The Bill Gates. So there's this digitalization, digital IDs. Right now, your ID is going to expire. These guys bring chaos so that you start complaining your ID yet in expire. So what do? The other time they tried to impose 2,000. Ukipoteza ID 2,000. Unalipa 2,000. They know people will complain. So they create a chaos, then they'll tell you now, you don't need to pay for it. Let's have a digital ID. Let's go the digital way. So they're creating a problem to bring solutions. These are the global agenda, the health aspect, the new card that is going to be introduced. Did you know that for the employed, they have no problem with it, but the unemployed, they are going to come to your house. They are going to put everything, like your household, wanajua how much are you worth. Then from that ndio unachajiwa. So they know, they'll have everything at their fingertips. They have the data. Understand? Wewe sasa mtakuwa unapiga kelele, hatutaki KRA ifanye nini, infiltrate our data privacy, but they are going to do it through the chief. You understand? These guys, they have agenda, and Ruto is working for them. Ruto is their puppet, and they are making sure that Ruto, before the terms are Ruto the issue, everything must be in place. They are going to push for it. It has to work. I've been telling people since 2022 when Ruto got elected. I told them, yo, central bank digital coin is going to work in Kenya. And Kenya, it's coming. And all this has to be implemented before Ruto leave power, because we all know election in Kenya has never been fair. And we know who elects these people. The international bodies. They'll manipulate the election. They'll put the people they want there, so that the last time Kenya had an honest election was 2002 when Kibaki came into power. Since then, it has been the globalists electing the people for us. You understand? So even if we say like, oh, we are going to take votes, we need to take these people out. Trust me, even if you take the votes and wait for 2027, the same system is still going to be there. You have no control over IBC. They're the people who come up with the committee that's appoint IBC. So what do you need to do? Uproot them. You don't need to wait for 2027. Meet with Ruto, tell him this is what we want, this and this and this. We want accountability. But in the process, be pushing for answer na hizi low hanging fruit, the cabinet secretaries, the IGs, the CJs, so that you have a well aligned way. So ikifika huko mbele sasa, time yenye tunawatoa kabisa, tuko na nini? we have a leeway. Yani the road is smooth, you understand? So let's go with one agenda. The agenda is good governance. That is going to lead us to uprooting these IGs, these CJs, these these corrupt elements. Then once we have cleaned that, now getting into Ruto, it's going to be powerless, you understand? We can uproot him, and when we come to 2027, when you're putting the right people into governance, we have no manipulation along the way, because these international bodies will do whatever it takes, because they have the power, they have the money, they have the influence to do it. And we have the unity is the only thing that we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana. No, Dennis, you are to go. Alafu mtu akiongea and you have any questions you'd like to ask them, feel free kuuliza. If someone shares something that you want to add something on, ama you have a contradicting information yenye you want to clear on, please feel free to interject pia. Dennis?
Yeah, Jeanette, thank you very much. I trust you can hear me. And I've been listening. Actually, I think this is the first space I'm speaking in administration start. Someone's background is really making a lot of noise. I think it's one guy or someone. One guy. Your background is making a lot of noise. So as I say, this is the first time that I'm talking.
Dennis Sendalia.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that I'm talking in a space after a long time. I just wanted to express my opinion in this. I think it has been a phenomenal 2 weeks that happened, unbelievable. I am one of the doubting Thomases among the many people who really doubted, is this really serious? Is this really going to be what we think it's going to be? Or is it just another, the excitement and all that? But we were proven wrong again and again and again that people were really serious. And for a first time, I really thought the government would go down. Literally, the government will disappear. And it was exciting because, to be honest, the Ruto government has been extremely, extremely arrogant. They've been extremely wasteful. They like utadunini. They come, they donate money, and they tell you, I don't even go to parliament. I don't even want to go to parliament. And they tell you that in your face, basically to tell you that you can do them nothing. And really, we have to appreciate every single person who believed and put their lives at risk in this. For us in the diaspora, sometimes it's a bit easy to just tell people, do that, do this, and then you sit back in the comfort of your TV and just watch. And that's why I've never been very talkative. I've been trying to really understand what's going on here. But now that things have been the way they have, I'm also just trying to offer an opinion. And the first thing I'll be saying is that, guys, for the revolution to succeed, we have to be different than them. You have to be different than the government that you're trying to criticize. And the first thing is we have to be tolerant to contrary opinion. I've realized that there's a lot of intolerance to contrary opinion, and I'm not saying the people would basically say that the government will stay, because no one is saying openly. A few people are saying, of course, the government should stay, and that is not the whole point. The whole point is people saying, oh, probably we should consider this agenda, or probably we should consider hosting the president. We can have a civilized discussion, and this group has, or this space has been an example of kind of discussion that we have. And now, if I look at the strategy, I'm seeing a small problem coming along in the very near future. And this is very real. And I think from a very honest point of view, I think there could be a challenge that might come up that we have to deal with. So the first challenge that I foresee is
one guy order.
One guy
Hello?
is one guy.
Yes.
Can I finish first? Can I finish first, please? You're
Okay.
mute your mic.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first strategy problem that I'm seeing here is we don't have a leader. It has worked perfectly so far. I honestly don't think this will work anymore. We have to be thinking about strategy and we evolve. I don't think there is a constant strategy. You say this is our strategy, come day, come night. It has worked perfectly. People have not been compromised. It has been very amorphous in some way, so it has worked for the benefit of the people and the benefit of the Gen Zs who have been demonstrating. But there's a problem that's cropping up. The first problem is what someone said here. We have got too many agenda. One day someone comes and says Ruto must go. Another person comes tomorrow, says we want the bill to go down. Another person says sack the cabinet. Another person says no, we want the IBC to go. We want the corruption to end. So this is the first consequence and the first real evidence that the strategy for leaderlessness has now overtaken itself. It worked during the demonstration. I don't think it is now really working in the phase that we're going into. And that is why the people or the perceived leaders it's been very easy to infiltrate them. It's been very easy because there's no leader, there's no person, there's no structure. And that is working against us. The second thing is, even as you say, Ruto must go. I want us just to look at it. Is it realistic? Is it realistic? Probably it is, and it was actually on Tuesday. It was realistic, but again, when they infiltrated the demonstration and people gave up, is it still really viable or feasible that Ruto will step down from State House and go home in Sugoi? Is it realistic? Of course, we are trying to aim at the sun and maybe land on the moon or the other way, but we have to think
Hello, Dennis.
about strategy as a whole.
Hello, Dennis. Excuse me, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dennis is on the stage. Is this idea of focusing on one battle to fight at a time? I think that is the best thing that could happen to us. We are losing it, and we are losing it quite big. How can we go about it?
And I think that is where the problem is, because if you don't have leaders who will determine the agenda, you see Kimuzi today saying Ruto must go. Tomorrow someone says, no, IBC should be reconstituted. Another person saying, no. What I thought would have happened is that if we had some sort of a structure of leadership, and this doesn't have even to be Gen Z or millennials, and don't get me wrong, this could be people, like let's say the people you trust and they are good in what they do. For example, if you trust Willy Mutunga to advise you on legal issues, if you trust someone like Omutata to advise you on maybe governance issues, we could probably have this guy in some sort of a team. We instruct them, but they are the face of the people presenting these things. Because now, what is the structure? Are we on Ruto must go? Are we on restructure IBC? Are we on sack the cabinet? Right now, I can just post, I want the cabinet out. The next time, Jeanette says, no, not the cabinet, Ruto is going. So we are basically confused. And the worst thing, again, the reason why we are confused, one of the reasons we are confused is that we don't trust each other here. We don't trust each other. Oh, Ula Menunuliwa, we can't trust you. We don't want you to be a leader because Utarunuliwa, you will be bought, you will be done this. So we don't even trust each other. So we are in a battle openly with the enemy, the government, but amongst us as well. If somebody said, I want to lead, let's say academia said, I think I have an idea, we can lead. We will not trust him. Oh, Tarunuliwa, we watch a leader. Now, how are we proceeding? There is no demonstration. Demonstration have fizzled out. The energy has gone down in terms of demonstration. The revolution continues. But what is the strategy? What is the strategy that we do? My thought is that we have some sort of people we trust, I don't want to use the term expert because that some people will say that is too elitist. But they should be people we trust, people like Omutata, for example. And if they don't work for us, we chuck them out. But they can be some sort of a voice. So in terms of inviting Ruto to the forum here, I think I'm for it. And I know I respectfully disagree with other people who hold a contrary opinion. I respect you, I hear what you say, but I disagree. Because now, if we don't talk to each other and we can't go to the streets, then what? Then what? then what else? We just have to do one or the other. We have to press. And when I say Ruto has to come, it's not, I don't think he has to come to listen to for us to listen to him. He should come for us to tell him structurally, these are the demands, and they should be met by a certain deadline, failure of which this is the repercussion. Probably people will go back to the streets, people will demand for this and this and that. So I think we need really to rethink about our strategy about leaderlessness. And I don't vouch for anyone to be a leader, but I want us to think about a structure, some sort of a committee, and it doesn't have to be a millennial. If you don't trust Jeanette, maybe you don't trust Hanifa, you don't trust anyone else, then get the people. We have got people in a wider space who can honestly represent us in that way. We can even have groups, the people who have got expertise in finance, they can be telling us about the budget and what IMF is doing. The people in law can tell us about how can we deal with the MPs. We have been having someone dealing with these guys. It's called the elder, the people, the politicians in the churches. We can have those subgroups to run around with that, but we know our overarching agenda is A, B, and C. Otherwise, we don't have an agenda. We're basically shouting from everywhere, and we are shouting into the void. No one is listening to us, and we are not talking to anybody. So I know this is really not what some people want to hear, but that's what I respectfully think we should do. I'll be open to really getting to hear contrary opinions, and we see how we digest and talk about that.
Mine is not contrary as such. I would wish to come back again, but mine is not contrary. I think this is one of the most important aspects, what are that subject that we should give our energy. The idea of having a leader to actually lead our protests. I think, as you have said correctly, the spirit is dying. It's like the protest is now dying out. Like today, it fizzled out almost completely in most parts of the country. What do you think is the reason? That is what we should mull over, because until we get to the heart of this matter, we are going to lose it big. I think one of the reasons as to why the spirit is fizzling out is the vindictive nature of our government. Ruto has always been in the wrong side of history since the Nyayo era. He has never been in the right, actually, side of the history. He's somebody, I think, who is full of anger, and anger is just one letter short of danger. Most of the people that actually have been actually arrested throughout these 3 or so weeks of protests have actually faced it so rough. He started by actually capturing the online leaders, or other online fighters, like people like Gabriel Oguda, who are actually keeping the spirit of this protest actually really boiling. And he has actually killed the morale. Nobody, let me say, nobody is now ready to bail the cat. Right now, if we say that Dennis lead this thing for us, the next thing they're going to do is to come for Dennis. I don't know whether you're getting it. When we identify a leader, the next thing the Ruto government is going to do is they're going to come for the leader. Once they have actually captured the leader, you see the vehicle has actually lost the driver again. This is one thing we should mull over. Even before we invite the president has invited us to his express, which I myself wants to say it's not the right thing. If he had wanted it, he would have started it. Why wait until things go wrong? Until it is the common mwananchi, the young Gen Z sees what is wrong, and then they come out of the streets to fight the government. That is when the President Ruto can now think of calling us. The agenda is ours. The meeting is ours. It is us to call him. It is not him to dictate the terms. If he had actually had the syllabus right, he would have actually taught it right, so that we hear it, we get it well. But now that he has gotten it wrong, let us do it. Let him be invited in our forum. That is what I wish to say. I'll take much time, but
no, Babak, I really agree 100% with you, and that's why I said when Ruto comes, he should be listening to people, not us listening to him. We should be giving him a raft of demands. But if you say again, we should be inviting him. Now, who is going to do it? Who is we? Who is going to host the space?
That is the
You see
point.
someone at one end saying, if you host, you're a traitor, we'll deal with you. If you see someone hosting the space, they've been paid, he's the enemy. And again, these are the people saying, we don't have a leader. But listen to me, that those people have labeled them this. You know, it's a bit of a paradox, but it's either we host it and actually we do it, someone does it, or he does it. So, or we don't do it at all. So we cannot have our eat our cake and still have it as whatever it is. But the all aim is to have, I think, at this point, is to have a conversation or a war. Now, the war has happened. Probably it will happen again in the future. Now we are in a silent. You are looking at each other. Ruto is not silly. I'm very sure, as you've said, this guy is vengeance, and we could see him in the interview. The kind of anger that was in his eyes. This guy did not drop the finance bill because he loved Kenya. I don't think so. When I watched this interview, Ruto dropped the finance bill with a lot of anger, and we could still see, if you guys don't know why this is so good for you, you don't know how this will have helped you, you will suffer because you let me down. This is his attitude. This is the attitude. So I think either way, he's planning something. So if we have to deal with him, let's deal with him in the streets once and for all. If we can't, let's engage him. But staying silent and staying apart like this works to his benefit. He's strengthening himself. He's planning for you. He's studied the limits of the people that went to the demonstrations. He knows this is your limit. This is the most you can do. This is what you can do. And he's not silly. You can see the difference between the Tuesday demonstration, the way it was handled, and the other demonstration. We had snipers and he thinks and sees from far. So it's either, and if you look at my initial tweets about this demonstration, I said, if you go for any dictator, please finish him. If you go for a dictator, finish the dictator. If you leave them wounded, and the person, a narcissist that Ruto is, and someone put it very well last time, these guys hate embarrassment. They hate embarrassment. And Ruto is now deeply embarrassed. He will come for people. So it is either one or the other. We either get him out of the office, and I don't know whether that's feasible now, probably it is, or we sit down and give him a raft of demands. Otherwise, this impasse is some sort of working to his advantage, I fear.
Hey.
Justice.
Hi. Thanks, Jeanette, for the opportunity. Also, I'll begin by answering the question. First, I beg to differ with the two speakers who seem to be for the opinion that we meet this guy and tell him what we know, what we want. The thing is, Ruto knows what we want. This guy knows what people want. The reason he's advocating for us to meet him, guys, Ruto is good at this game. He's very good. To him, this is chess. This is part of his strategy. To meet you, to hold you hostage, to buy time. We don't have time. We cannot give him that opportunity. These people are used to those politics of when things heat up, they jump on top of the wanapanda juu ya gari, which they've been doing for years. Now this time round, he found it different. He couldn't go and panda juu ya gari to address who. These things are being organized on space. People have gone digital. So he's looked for the gari ya kupanda juu, akakosa, and now he wants to panda juu ya X-Space to come and tell you all the sweet nothings, tutatenga, tutapanga, tutafanya, and then expect you to give him more time to keep leading us astray. We don't have the time. As for me, I'm not supporting the idea of meeting with this guy. That takes me to my next point. which is strategy. When we started this, we had one plan, which previous speakers had spoken about. We had a straight goal, which was reject finance bill. This war is not dead. The war is still on. We are soldiers. We are still in battle. We won. We might have won some battles. We might have lost one or two, but that doesn't mean the war is over. In war, when a soldier loses a battle, you sit back, you strategize, you come back strong. So if you see things are calm, it doesn't mean people have given up. Nobody has given up. People are still suffering, and people still want the best for this country. So but the best we can do during this period of retreat, where we are sitting back and strategizing and thinking what next, is to come up with a clear, strong strategy. And having proven that having one goal, one specific goal has worked before, then that is the idea is support, which has been mentioned by other speakers as well, that let us plan our goals. Let us attack item one by one, point by point. For example, we come out and say, okay, we are starting with MOH. We want this cabinet secretary who is doing nothing, who knows nothing in this docket to go. We are occupying MOH. We attack this until our agenda is met. And guys, this is where they will start even fighting against each other. They will
So
start exposing each other.
who will determine that? Who will determine we are going to MOH tomorrow?
The same way we have been determining we are going to parliament, we are going to state house, we are going where? The same people who have been releasing out the posters. We decide this is the agenda. We are going to MOH tomorrow. This week we are attacking Ministry of Health until we ensure it is cleaned and
But
these people are gone.
Justice,
Yes,
allow me to interject, Apo.
it's okay.
That is exactly our concern. Me and Dennis, I think we share the same opinion. The fact that this revolution has no leader that we know of exactly creates a lot of confusion, because when it comes to hizo posters, unapata one poster saying something, another poster inasema kitu ingine, so there's a lot of confusion. So I think that calls for some sort of leadership. Hata ukisema ati the people have been giving out those posters, inamaanisha there is actually someone who is controlling this revolution. Basi inamaanisha there is an actual leader. So what is your way forward, your story na leadership? Is it something that we need? Like we pinpoint, for example, Dennis Summer Justice is our leader moving forward, and us as a revolution, this and this is what you're going to do. Ama, are you okay with the confusion?
So, Jeanette,
Yeah,
I don't know whether you can hear me. I'd like to interject.
it's okay.
I mean, the whole idea of having a leader is literally falling into the government's trap, because the government has been the one pushing for a structure in this movement. So the minute we identify somebody as a leader, the minute that would have killed this movement. Because trust you me, that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for people to announce a leader, provide a certain structure, so that they can actually go and dismantle it. You know? So I do not agree with the whole idea of identifying individuals, as leaders, because trust you me, either they'll be compromised, or maybe somehow the president in one or another. So if you want to continue, with this movement, if you want to continue, because so far, like within the past 2 weeks, we've been able to achieve so much more than different organizations have been able to do in years, because of course the nature of the movement, it being an organic being unpredictable. So you can imagine if we start putting up structures, it could have killed the movement. So I do not agree with the whole idea of having a leader. And I agree with Justice that really we need to be unpredictable as much as
Yeah,
we can.
and to add on that, and to answer also Jeanette, we've seen the protests. This is not the first time we are seeing protests in Kenya. We've seen protests for years. Tell me which protest has achieved what this protest has achieved in 1 week. Raila has been protesting here, come in, here, go.
But what have we achieved? Tukianza kuangalilia story achievement, what exactly have we achieved?
So,
Hello, can I give my 2 cents?
we've achieved so
Wait
much.
a minute, there is a female voice inaongea and I can't see. Sijui ni nani. Who is it? Female voice.
So much more than we think, because right now the government is actually trying to do so much to control the movement, because of we've been able to make our voices heard in different parts of the world, because for some of us who have people, our clients all over the world, we have been able to have people reach out to us, what's going on in this country. So and then also the international community is also watching. We've been, at least Atakama, there's nothing really that has happened as far as this is concerned. At least we've been able to hear even the UN human rights actually speak on what's going on in the country. So and then also all these changes, all this maybe anticipated changes, maybe within the cabinet, all these discussions are going on because of what has happened in the past 2 weeks. The president, actually, right now, I don't think there's any international, maybe any foreign country that can readily invite the president, unless and until, he's able to put his house together. So we've been able to keep this president, in Kenya for the past 2 weeks. The perception yenye alikuwa ameweka huko nje, it has changed. Huwezi niambia like right now if he goes to South Africa, he'll be seen as a person, hiyo PR yenye alikuwa ameweka all over. Huwezi niambia that if he goes outside Kenya, he'll be seen the same way, the way he was being seen. So as much as we might not think that we've not done much, we've done so much. That's why he's scrambling, that's why he wants, to engage. He's pretending to want to engage us kwa space, because anataka akuja anze to control the narrative in social media pages. He's been able to control us kwa streets by sending, either intimidating us, killing some of us, injuring some of us, abducting people, all through, they're just looking for a leader mwenye wataweza control. They've been unable to do that. That's been our greatest strength. So you can imagine right now, the minute we identify somebody, they will silence that person in one way or another. Itakuwa just like another political movement. So our greatest strength, like I'd say, lies in us being like inorganic, leaderless, tribeless. That's why tukiangalia some of the government's bloggers, what they're trying to do basically is just look for a way to divide us, either by saying, okay, this person is a Gen Z, this person comes from this tribe, this person, Somali or Kikuyu businesses are the ones being destroyed, because they're just trying to come up with the usual, propaganda to divide us, So the minute we identify a leader, wataanza kufikiria mambo ya funding, wataanza kusema the way they'll provide funding for the Gen Z movement, and the minute pesa inaingilia hapo katikati, will be divided in one way or another. So personally, yes, it's really hard for us to be leaderless, but I think this is our greatest strength, standing together, hata kama tuko leaderless. For me, I think this is our greatest strength. Yeah. We've been able to achieve way more than we think, to a point where Senate wanakaa chini and they're able to talk of things that they were afraid to talk, to talk about before. So we've been able to achieve so much. Mtu asikwambie just because the president has not stepped down, it doesn't mean, it means that we've not done anything. We've done so much. We've done so much, yeah? So I do not really agree with us coming up with a structure. Because the minute we do that, the government has won.
Yeah, I think you pretty much answered Jeanette's question. Once we identify a leader, these people, as I said again, they are the best at this game. They will pick the leader, compromise them in whatever way, whether ni pesa, threats, or anything. Kufinywa. Guys, we cannot fall for this trap. This thing, as the speakers, the previous speakers just said, the lady speaker, revolutions take time. In 2 weeks, if we are in a position where these people have actually, we've caught their attention and they've woken up and seen, oh, we cannot just keep doing things how we've been doing things. People are actually out there watching and they are holding us accountable to the point that now they are no longer even running with big vehicles and sirens in town. They are speaking, discussing about legitimate issues in parliament. Then this is the first step. We cannot achieve everything in a day, but this is a positive step. This has never happened before. People have been leading protests and they have been getting compromised. We cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. If we started this thing differently and we've started seeing some results, then let us proceed in the same manner, leaderless, tribeless, partyless, until we achieve our goals. So just to add again on what I mentioned earlier, let us strategize point by point. Let us focus point by point. When we say we occupy Moej, that is what we do. Next, we say, okay, because now I've heard, we are hearing a lot of things coming up. Things are coming up. I heard about the lands bill thing again. Things like shift. We have a lot of issues that we need to tackle individually, one by one, point by point, as we clean up this mess. We have a lot of rotten leaders we need to tackle one by one as we clean them out. At the same time, we have to ensure we are pushing the Ruto must go narrative, but we are focusing most of our energy on these items one by one. Then eventually, once we have cut off the roots, we have cleaned up most of the things, including IBC, then we can say, okay, now let us focus on sending this guy home. I think that is the only way we can do this. Otherwise, we'll be beaten. It's a game of chess. He's looking for how to stay ahead of us. That's why he's calling us on spaces and asking for leaders. Let's not fall for that trap, guys. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm having a kind of technical issue where I can't see who is speaking. So Odera, I hope I can see your hand is raised. I don't know if it's still raised, Odera.
Yes, Jeanette, I don't even want to make a comment. I just want to ask a question for those who are saying that we need to attend this space where Ruto will be talking to us, and let us try and question him and see if we can drive some sense into his head. But I want to ask them, and if you look at, refer to Ruto's past TV and radio interviews, I need you to point out one interview where Ruto listened. Point out one uniambie on this day, Ruto listened and Ruto answered questions venye alikuwa anaulizwa. Because I remember there is this, many of you know it, BBC Hard Talk show. It's a ruthless show, for lack of a better word. That guy anakurarua kabisa. That guy asks you difficult questions. And if you start beating about the bush, he brings you back to the question again. Yet Ruto flawed that guy. Ruto badala sasa ujamaa amuulize maswali, Ruto alikuwa anamuuliza maswali. Ruto answers that guy with another question. So I want you people to tell me, ni show gani Ruto alikaa pole pole, akakuwa interviewed, akajibu maswali venye naulizwa,
na tukaridhika ati Ruto amejibu maswali. That's all I need to know. If you can bring up one and convince me that during this interview Ruto alisikiza na kajibu maswali, then I might consider coming to a space where Ruto is. But the Ruto I know, hakuna swali Ruto atajibu. They will get nothing out of that guy. I think that guy just wants to bring us together and try and convince us, like the last speaker has said. Unajua, Ruto is very cunning and Ruto is very insisting. Alafu Ruto has never lost anything. Chenye Ruto amepoteza, he steals it. So at the end of the day, bado ni yake, either through proper means or through illegal means. Ruto doesn't know how to lose and is not going to lose. Na hii calling us to a space is one of his way of trying to neutralize us. And if we give him an inch, Ruto will neutralize us. Tutatoka hapo hivyo tumechanganyikiwa, tunatusiana. Ruto amesema ukweli, me I'm going to give him more room. Mi naenda kumsikiza, me I'll give him more time. Ruto doesn't need more time to fix anything. He needs more time to fix us. You know, and that's why I keep insisting I am not coming to a Ruto space. You nikichukua mic mi nitamtusi, nastaki kutusi president. Thanks, Jeanette. So I need these people who are saying twende kwa hiyo nini, ebu convince me one interview where Ruto alitulia tu polepole na akaulizwa maswali na akajibu na tukaridhika. Point me to one show where Ruto alisema yes, hapo nimekosa and I'm doing things wrong and I'm going to fix them. Just point me to one show. Thank you very much, Jeanette.
Thank you, Odera. I'm also for going to the Ruto's space, but hizo maswali umeuliza zimefanya I'm questioning a lot of things. So yeah, most of the interviews Ruto has been at anakuanga anajaribu kujitetea explain ni kama elewi why we are complaining. Ako like, but I'm doing this and this. The last interview was that he was being interviewed about this guy, this 12-year-old boy, I think, who got shot about 8 times, I think, and he didn't show any remorse. So hiyo ndo kitu, like the biggest thing. I don't know, for some of us tunampea ile benefit of doubt. Maybe tomorrow he'll come and show us that at least amekuwa na a change of heart. But each time he has come to speak, inakwanga tu the same cold-hearted person. So I don't know. I'll probably be there at that space out of curiosity, but I agree with whatever Dara you're saying. Kenya? Oh, Dennis, you want to speak?
No, someone can go first.
Kenya?
So it's me again. So most of what I wanted to say about space, my opinion was no, because I mean this is somebody who directly or indirectly ordered a killing of our fellow comrades. This is somebody who has caused people so much pain. So many people are injured, you know, and like Jeanette said, he has shown no remorse up to this point, you know. Every time akiulizwa kitu, he just goes back to just talking about fertilizer. And we know there's so many scandals, you know, the Ministry of Agriculture, especially fertilizer. Every time akiulizwa kitu, anaongea juu ya, you know, unga, he justifies, you know, he justified the murders, you know, and it really happened during the protest by saying that some of the people actually walikuwa na shoot the police. And we know very well that did not happen. You know, he has shown no remorse up to now. There are so many people sahi bado wako in custody. LSK is fighting for them to be released. People are still being abducted. And we know very, very well, like right now, I mean, one of the hashtags that was trending is that, you know, how do you call it? For him to get rid of the cabinet, not reshuffle, he held a meeting with the cabinet secretaries, and what they did, they congratulated the security officers for what they did. Yani they took people's lives, alafu wametoka hapo with no remorse. Wana congratulate those people for the heinous act zenye walifanya. And then we've seen the DCI circulate posters with people who they're calling criminals, but we know very well this person is surrounded by criminals, be it murderers, rapists, corrupt individuals, wamemsurround, every person when you commit a heinous crime in this country aligns themselves, with him. That shows who he is at the core. And then we had his daughter come to talk to us as who, for me, that's the arrogance of the highest level. Yeah, it's arrogance of the highest level. And for any person when you're from his side who has appeared in public, be it Kina Osoro and the rest, they've shown no remorse. Wengine bado wanasema that people should be shot for demonstrating. Ilikuwa peaceful demonstrations. We all know it was very peaceful up to the other time when it was infiltrated by guns. And watu waka decide, you know what, let's just retreat and maybe re-strategize because it's been infiltrated. And the strength that we had as a group ni social media. Right now, what have they done? They paid so many bloggers who are trying to divide people. And then right now, wanakuja with all the arrogance on earth, then wameweza announce that he'll host at a Twitter space and people are there wanachangamkia. To be honest, do you think he will listen to you? Hakuwa ana listen. He wasn't listening to Kakai. He wasn't listening to the people who are interviewing him. So, and clearly, I don't think he listens to anybody's advice. So I don't think it will achieve anything. What it will do, it'll confuse the people who are weak-minded. Sorry to use that word. Because kuna watu wako kwa edge, wanangoja tu aseme tu kitu wanataka kusikia, alafu tu wafurahi, waseme, oh, let's give him a chance. Maybe, you people, you're being rude, you're being whatever. And up to now, ukiangalia his advisors, the likes of Ngunyi, and the likes of Kinandi Bado and the bloggers, they're still very condescending, So he doesn't mean any, good for us. He won't say anything else in very meaningful. To me, if he can't resurrect the people who died, if he can't, he can't heal the people who are disabled, he has no business talking to us. He should feel it. So right now, anajua tu vizuri, we have so much strength, we have so much power, anatry kudilute that strength. Let's not give him that chance. Tusimpatie hiyo chance. Plus, people have suffered enough for us to give him our time. Time is very precious. Mi sijisikii kumpatia tabia yangu.
I think that those are legitimate concerns. You and the person who spoke the first before you, mukisema, this guy is a gaslighter, atakuja to gaslight, atakuja kufanya. But then this is why I was saying, I think we must have him at one point, either way. And I think the best thing then would be to have him to listen. And this is why I said, just read a raft of issues. These are the demands. These are the timelines. And this is what we expect. And probably if it doesn't happen, this is our plan, if you want to go up to that extent. But not necessarily for him to speak to us. And this is what I said before, not for him to speak, but him to listen. Because up to this point, we have been having so many voices. So I think it will be important to have at least a way in which we can have all this, whether 100 or whatever, or 3 demands in a platform and have them discussed. That's my thought. So that we have him listen and not gaslight people the way people fear that if he speaks, he will be convincing others, he will be doing that. I think that will be my compromise then.
Dennis,
Hey, can I?
I think if we were to address kama issue ni address one thing at a time, You know how doctors are going on the street on Monday? Then can we do Ministry of Health and that Senje for the whole week, na kumincha? Which reminds me, why has been the focus here, Ministry of Health, been deworming? Like, focus here, oneko ciana dawa cia thate, cia deworm. Like, of everything, vaccines, how many countries don't have dawa za vaccines za BCG, DPT and whatever. These kids are hungry, so you want to deworm what? Hungry kids. Tukule intestines zao ziishe ama,
But wait, deworming has been there. Personally, I was dewormed nikiwa throughout primary school and also in high school. I think it's
but
something that's there.
focus nayo. Like considering kuna infants hawana vaccines, life-changing, life-altering things, that is the focus. Considering interns are out, a whole ministry's focus is what? Deworming, surely. So if venye anaitwa nani ni Dennis, venye Dennis atasema, if need is there to address one thing at a time. Basi tuende na ministries. Then we pull the rug from under his feet. Tunatoa huyo Senje. Next ni, what are the ministries not working? Okay, none of them is working. But in order of urgency, yeah, is urgency the word? I think urgency is the word. So kama venye madaktari wanatokea Monday, then Ministry of Health and whatever ndio iko kwa spotlight. The next week, do we have a ministry that will initangwaje social and the one that needs kids and women
Gender and social care.
yes. The next week gender, because why don't girls have pads? And if there is a ministry for these things, where a young boy is being molested out here and no one is doing anything, why are people like Njeri Migu having to come out as individuals and there's a whole ministry to do whatever individuals are doing, you know? Kama ni kuenda moja kwa moja, then we'd start there. Two, me think giving Ruto a platform is what will mess us up. Hata tujazika Kennedy. Kennedy is the guy who he asked, but is he dead? That one. He's not even in the ground. Don't you think it would be disrespectful? Ule mtu amemuua, mnampea flat, mna negotiate na terrorist, honestly. Because who is a person who kills peaceful nationals in a country? Huo ndo mtu mnataka kwenda kunegotiate na yeye, kumsikiza, surely. So someone comes for your kids and you want to set a table before them and eat with them. Like, amumwi, ama? People are not mad yet. Leon Rongai, you should have seen the mom of that kababy they shot in Rongai. Me, I was there, you should have seen the mom. Crying so badly. You know, her baby is being carried around in some tiny white coffin. People screaming. And so the person who sent for that, ndo mtu mnataka kuenda kunegotiate na yeye. That is the person you want to share a platform with. Amna hasira. Let us at least respect the dead, basi, if anything. You know. Aya. Number 3, leaders. Tukisha kuwa na mtu, if this nini has a face, wacha Isaac Mwaura endelee kudhani ni Russians. Because the minute this thing has a face, ni hivo. The only reason someone out there is saying that they want to come for seeds of our native things is because Kenya has a face and they have someone to go through with, ama through to. Is through to the word. Like wako na mtu wa kupitia. That is how they can afford to come and bring very wild things to us and very wild policies. Juu kuna mtu wa kupitia. So the minute hata sisi tunapata mtu wa kutufikia wa kupitia, hii kitu yote inaenda. So wache ikae hivyo, wache ikae leaderless. Let them continue thinking it's the Russians.
Thank you. But atuongea about negotiation, but what do you suggest is the way forward if we can't have a civil talk with our leaders? Tuendelee na maandamano. Like, how long will we hit the streets?
As long as it needs to. Kwani Mau didn't have a deadline. They were not like, tutaka msitu wiki ngapi hivi, ama tukae msitu June juu baridi inakuja tukue tumetokea by June. As long as it needs to. We are past the point of kukua civil with each other. Are they civil with us? Ukikonjeka hapa cancer and you can't afford meds or anything, you even wish death on yourself or on your people. That is not, it's not civil. They're not civil with us. Are they civil with medical interns? Are they civil with JSS teachers? So mbona sisi ndio tunademandiwa kukua civil? So we go back to those streets as much and as long as it takes. We run those hashtags for as long as we need to. Kama ni kila wiki tunashuka na mmoja, tunashuka na yeye. There's this time when they were doing Free Palestine on TikTok, there's a guy who just comes out and is like, you know what? There are celebrities who are supporting Israel and whatever, sijui kina nani, na tutakuwa tunashuka na wao hivi. And he gave a rota. And they started sijui unfollowing and blocking. See, we do the same. Come up with a rota. Hii wiki, week 1, June date 8 to whatever, MOH, na huyo Senje. The next week, date, sijui what to 17th, what are the dates for the other week? Hizo, Ministry of Gender and whatever. Who is the nani hivi, huu ndo namba yake. Send her a message, remind her her taxes, her salary is by our taxes. Hivo, as long as we need, as long as it takes, we do it.
So we'll come back to you because I think kuna a lot that we still have to discuss. Bill alafu Eli Oriko. Bill ama Bill
Good evening.
ujainua mkono.
Nimeinua mkono sana.
Sawa Bill.
Now, thanks for holding this space. I think I'll go by kuna hii swali, one of the speakers ameuliza which of the shows did Ruto ever answered anything really constructive to Kenyans, what they're asking. But to me, my view is slowly Ruto may not really respond to whatever you've asked, but it exposes him to the public. Today, even those mamambogas and some of the clergy who are seeing him, some guy who takes breakfast with Jesus, they have a different opinion of him by the fact of the previous talk alikuwa na Latif, na Joageo and Kakai. Because how he was talking and not showing any remorse is now really giving out the Ruto that Uhuru sang about, the Ruto that one time someone like Jirongo described him very well, that he can strangulate a boy to death by himself. So slowly they are seeing which president they have. So many of them, they are saying it's a mistake they made to vote for Ruto. And that's a good thing. So he might come to these talks and he has really mastered the art of manipulating the human mind through a sweet tank, through religion, through looking at vulnerable groups like the youth and really hoodwink them by dangling some goods, pick some few of them, put them in a very comfortable space and promise this other one, thinking they'll also get to wherever the other ones are. Now, people just need to stay woke, because if we say we are not giving Ruto space, to some point it's really correct not to give him the space. But to some point again, it's very right to give him the space. Because why I say it is right to give him the space is this. When people went out to demonstrate, it really gave him force. And you can remember the night of Tuesday when he was giving his press release and calling whatever has happened to be treason. The following day, he was changing the tune. But in war, once you hit your opponent and he goes back and feels he has conceded, umemchapa, then he says, no, I think wacha tukuje kwa meza tuongee. Then now you who are beating him, you are running away again and say, no, sasa, huyu sitaki kuongea na wacha tena niende nipige press up, nirudi nimpige. So that means this guy again is winning on your end. So to me, I believe giving Ruto the space to talk to the public still gives him the opportunity to really come and show his nakedness. Because when you see the change of tune from the even senators recently from Senate, it tells you in Kenya, we don't lack policies. We don't lack good law. We don't lack the governance structure that's supposed to be there. What we have is lack of political will. And that lack of political will kills everything, right from executive to judiciary to legislature. So the only thing we've woken up even the political class to come and see the need of having good political will for the public. Because people like Cherargei, people like Arian Cheriot, who have been talking very funny, politics of Mutuetu have changed the tune. And they've seen the ground is becoming hostile right from their homes. Because now Kenyans are understanding these people are not speaking for us. But does it mean that you'll change the leaders locally? Let's say I'm from Busia. Will I really come, let's say, elect a leader who has not vied in Busia, now come represent me because we are tribeless, we are leaderless? No. We still have to elect the same leaders we've been electing who are coming up to vie, but we've raised the threshold of accountability, and really knowing the good political will for the public. Now, Ruto is very vindicative, as it has been said, and this has been seen. He'll keep the grudge and order of view. Yeah. But we need to really see what plan do we have as a people to really make us still win on this. Because once you're giving him space to come out and give promises, and people see the following day he's not owning those promises, people come up again to still get him accountable. So that makes him weak. Progressively, it makes him weak. But now this again makes the public wake up and understand that you have to make a decision at the ballot. And so each and every person must arm themselves with a vote, so long as you are eligible to vote. And so that everybody will understand what's the meaning of your vote. The vote now can work for you. Because once you raise the threshold of this accountability and people getting to know the political goodwill means what? Because you can understand, even, let's say, the Nyanza region, a handshake that this guy had some time back, a handshake of collaboration and good political will, yielded a lot of things. Within a few minutes, Kenya was peaceful. People were back to business. Business were flourishing. So it's just a matter of having the good political will. It's not about the structures of this other government. Everything is there in place. Now, there's this big issue of having not having leaders. To me, I don't think we can play this game for so long. Now, there are organizations that have come up and you can see what LSK is doing. You can see the leadership that the lady at LSK is exhibiting. Because one time we'll want to elect a president who is accountable, a president who can stand for people. This time we're having this mandamano is trying to give us people who are able to stand up for Kenya and speak for Kenya. You've seen people like Omtata, how they do this. I tend to believe if we get an organization like LSK and issues are articulated so well, so that, you know, this thing, if you're doing a petition, it can go through here. You know, because if you say you need to do a petition as people and take it to parliament, who will take this petition? Even if we say we are going to do in these spaces, who will write it and who will present it? So we'll say someone anonymously has presented this and say he's Kenyan. No, we have to get a structure on how to do things. Remember, Kenya has a constitution. We can't really override that constitution. That's the same constitution we are riding on and saying the sovereignty of people, and people have the power. So we can't really go against the same constitution. So you have to still stick within the parameters of the constitution. So somehow we have to devise a way of getting leaders who are sober, because we have them here in Kenya. Not that all the leaders are not sober. We have them. So we need to have organizations that are able to, people champion some of these changes that we need. They're able to be put in a structured way, and they're able to be given out to government. Today we say tuanze hii wiki tuseme Nakumicha tunapeleka chini. We'll demonstrate and do everything. The same Ruto is the one we need to pressure so that he sacks Nakumicha, because it's the president who appointed Nakumicha. He's the president who is again supposed to do what? Assent and say, I don't need Nakumicha in the cabinet. So if we're giving pressure,
Bill?
Okay. If you're giving pressure to each and every means that you're thinking is not performing, that tells you it has still go back to Ruto, because it's still the executive. And so that means we need a structured way to move this thing. If you don't have a structure, then most likely itaenda ifike mahali kwa diluted, then the guy will just atakuwa ametupiga sisi wenyewe 10-0. Thanks.
Asante sana. Eli?
Okay, thank you so much for getting this platform. I have a raft of issues that I'd like to bring to the attention of the young Kenyans who are fighting for things to get back to this country. First of all, when you say that, there are the issues that, for example, last week we had a program of what we were supposed to be doing. I think at the end of the day, some of us here, project managers, and we really understand very well that for us to know where we've come from and where we are going, we might not have like leaders that we've elected or people we have selected and maybe given them the authority to act on our behalf. But at the end of the day, having a leadership or maybe someone to guide us would be really important. Oh, I still believe that okay. Someone said here that Ruto has lied on every other platform that he has been given, and it is for that reason they don't want to give him another chance, or they would not attend his Twitter live or his Twitter space when he decided to come. We are not stupid. Like, we're not stupid people. We know these lies, and we can actually call these lies out. Maybe the likes of Latif or the mainstream media, they could not actually tell him on the face that, man, you're lying to us, this and this is what happened. But when this guy comes to this space, we're able to tell him, how is it to beba ufala? I believe so. That said, I still believe that if Ruto is a liar, then he would lie in whichever platform is given, whether it's in the news, it's in the what, whichever platform is given, he will lie. And that is the worst that we expect from him. If you're already expecting the worst, then what do we lose by actually going to listen to this guy? I believe we don't lose anything. And for that reason, we need to bring him on board, and then we handle him differently as opposed or different to the like the way he has been handled in all the other platforms that he's been to and he's lied. Number two, I think our utmost or our most important goal is still Ruto must go. But if Ruto is going, life also has to continue. And if life has to continue, then what do we have to do, or what responsibility, or what is it in our hands, or what tools do we have in our hands right now that we can make sure we align things and the country runs smoothly? Number one is the agriculture CS. Apart from the fake fertilizer that made news in the past weeks, at the moment we're being told that there's some fertilizer that was donated by Russia that did not get to Kenya, and this guy is still in office. Did this ship that whatever the ship that was bringing fertilizer to Kenya, did it dock somewhere like on its journey to Kenya, and maybe this thing, the fertilizer could have been offloaded maybe in some other port, or even if it's in the deep seas, then how did these things happen? Come on, this guy, he needs to be answerable. The likes of Nakumicha. So I think in my proposal, or in my opinion, is as we aim at Ruto going, there are some people that we have to deal with, and we have to deal with them as soon as now. And if you're to go back to the streets, for example, the doctors have decided that maybe on Monday they're going to align issues at the Ministry of. I mean, to make sure that on Monday the pressure is too much to a point. By the close of business, Ruto will have to give a pressure that Nakumicha has been fired, because I believe the president has the right, whatever, like he has the right to fire and hire like these CSS, because he's the person who appoints them. Can we make sure that on Monday, if you are going to the Ministry of Health, then we make sure like our impact is felt, and it's even felt by Ruto himself, so that he decides. Instead that they keep Nakumicha, who is very incompetent, very, very incompetent. Like even me, I'm not in medicine, but I think I would manage that ministry better. After we are done with Nakumicha, the next one would be the agriculture guy. Can we not get another person from Meru who is more competent and can do this work that this guy is not doing? That's the next thing. Other thing, I so much respect academia and the people who have earned like themselves the names and all that, like the people who have made it maybe to the top schools or the cream of this nation. I respect you all. But again, sometimes, for example, a guy like Miguna, it has been proven that Miguna cannot work with people because of his arrogance and everything. Like at the end of the day, someone has to be appointed to a position of, or has to be given authority. They also need to be listening. The other guy that we need to deal with, I respect him, but you have to deal with him is this guy, Ndi. What is Ndi doing? Ndi has been fired by every other person he has worked with in the previous governments, including in Rwanda. What is he still doing in Ruto's government? Like, what is it that he's advising? And how is it possible that someone advises the government, we've employed him, and he's still the same person who abuses? Thirdly, as a people, I think we need to, for the first time, the awakening has come, and we need to be we need to take it upon ourselves and understand our governments, the structures, and the role.
Ellie, I think you're having a network problem. Odera, kuja come in, nani?
Thanks, Jeanette. I'll try and be brief. Someone, it is, I can't remember. Billy Graham said that much as Ruto is a liar, we also need to take advantage of him offering to be in a space so that we can continue to expose the true Ruto, so that then the Mama Mbogas and the border guys can know the person that they voted for and the person they are dealing with. But my question is this, and this has been the cry that Ruto must go, you know. For example, I'm arraigned before a competent judge, and then I'm found guilty, and I'm sentenced to 3 years in jail for probably robbing someone. Do I come back to negotiate with the people arrested, the people I stole from? Okay, I've been sentenced to 3 years, but can we just negotiate because I won't steal anymore? Maybe we can work something out of what happened. Is that the way we deal with things? Because for me, we've already judged and sentenced Ruto, and we want him to go because there's nothing redeemable about Ruto. I think that's the conclusion of the whole thing. That's why we are out in the street demanding Ruto must go. And if we've already decided as a nation that Ruto must go, then why are we still thinking, okay, let us bring him back and see if we can work out something with him? Is that how we run this business? Or how should we even do this? Because I am of the thinking like we are convinced and convicted that Ruto is bad for us. And not only recently, but from his track record. You know, we just didn't wake up and decided Ruto unaenda. We've had very bad presidents. Unajua, na Ruto sasa anabeba mzigo ya watu wote. Because then the president is shit, for lack of a better word, but we want to preserve the presidency. And that is why Ruto and the whole system has to go. That's why we are targeting beyond Ruto. You know, people are talking about the judiciary. It's corrupt. Look at the legislature. It's a runaway legislature. It's captured by Ruto. Unaona wabunge wanaongea saizi, they've realized that the voters are hostile towards Ruto. Initially, they didn't have that information. And that is why they were hanging on Ruto's coat for re-election. But now they are realizing, I don't have to hang on Ruto's coat to be re-elected. Mashinani already don't like him. So that's my opportunity to come out, the real me. That's why the likes of Chariot are coming out singing something totally different. Amazing Grace. Hata mimi nashangaa mtu anasema nini. It's like, is this doctored or what? Chariot, Senator Kericho, imagine of all the people. Anasema kitu alikuwa anasema kwa Senate. You know? So wamerealize watu hawataki Ruto. So I can disassociate myself from Ruto and endear myself to the voters and still survive this political journey. You know, secondly, Nakumincha, we are targeting Nakumincha. But how independent is Nakumincha as a CS? The things she's doing, the policy she's doing, is it just Nakumincha ama is Ruto part of it? Nakumincha ni mtu wa kutumwa, nenda useme, nenda ufanye. Do you want to tell me all these things she's doing? Even this new, I don't know, healthcare, is it shift or shit? Unataka kuniambia ni Nakumincha amekaa kwake akaamua akasema no, we don't need NHIF, we need this. So NHIF is going and we're introducing this in place of the NHIF. No, hawa ni ball boys wa Ruto. Whatever they are doing has been decided by the executive. Linturi didn't go, not because Parliament saved him, but because Ruto ordered them to save him. Parliament, this guy ain't going nowhere. So make sure that he stays. And that's what they did. And that's why Linturi is just everywhere, like he did nothing. You know? So we cannot target Ministry of Health, then tuende sijui agriculture, then tutafute Ababu na Mwamba, while Ruto is still up there. They still come in there, sheikh mpya, kanzu mpya, lakini sheikh ni yule yule tu. Ni kama kutoa Ruto suti, alafu kumvalisha kanzu. Alafu nasema kuna kanzu mpya sasa, wacha sasa chape kazi. But Ruto ni yule yule tu. And those are me, I keep insisting, Ruto has to go. For us to start seeing changes, Ruto has to go. And I keep telling people, we've got a beautiful constitution. If we can follow the constitution to the letter, if we can work within the confines of the Kenyan constitution, we won't be having all these problems. But these guys totally disregard the constitution. Wanakuambia hakuna kitu utafanya, nitakiuka katiba, and utadu what attitude ndo wanakutupia. We will go to that space. Na mtu anasema ataambia Ruto live. Ati wale wakina nene wako namuuliza maswali. Hakuna kitu tutauliza Ruto kujibu. Kama watu wanaangalia hivi, ndio alikuwa anawaambia ngoja, wait, nyamaza. Wewe kwa space utamwambia nini? Nothing. That's my point. So this is what I'm saying. Mimi sina reverse gear when it comes to Ruto. You can do a reverse gear. I'm not taking that away from you. You can give him another chance, go to his space. I'm not taking that away from him. That's your right. But me, I ain't coming. Me, I've decided Ruto anaenda. Hata kama nitabaki peke yangu mpaka mwisho hii safari, I'll know that I didn't turn back. Even if I don't achieve my end goal, nitajua I didn't turn back. Thank you, Jeanette.
Asante sana Odeva. We all agree Ruto must go kabisa. But if the option of negotiation is not there, what do we suggest yenye is within our constitutional guidelines? So Odera would like you to answer that. Baadaye kidogo. Atypical. Oh, someone has a question? Who? Uliza.
What difference will it make with Ruto on a space versus Ruto on alikuwa Citizen ama alikuwa wapi? What difference is going to be there? So it's the same man, same cold heart, same brain, same PR team, same staff. What difference is going to be there akiwa on a space on X na akiwa Citizen? If it's the lies and it's the same person, he'll lie the same way. If it's gaslighting, he'll gaslight the same. I don't think he has had a change of character or spirit or heart within those couple of days. And if he has, it's going to be an act, and the man can act and act well. He can put up a show. Sisi wote tunajua, eh? So, and then kama wanasema wamelipa bloggers kujaza space. You think you guys, the actual guys, will have any opportunity to ask chenye mnasema mtauliza? Like if they're saying they have paid like over sijui 1,000 guys, na ni watu wako na njaa wamelipa, of course wata show up. You think you guys will have space to ask sijui who did what, when, and what are you planning to do about it? Hapana.
Hi. So, hakuna mtu anaogopa Ruto. Kwanza tuanzieni hapo. The one thing Ruto does is we have to accept he's a liar. He will lie his way out. And one thing a liar needs is time. It's time and time again. Si ati tunasema tutaenda hiyo space. Niulize, Kipchumba Murkomen attended that space, the first space that boiled people over. Alitoka akasema we have good ideas. Has any of that been implemented? Isaac Mwaura attended the space for 5+ hours. Akamaliza, akatupatia attendance, akatupatia speech ya 20 minutes. Akasema, I'm quoting him, akasema, there are guys with really good points and others without good points. Of the ones of the good points, there are things we have been consistent with from day one. One was reject finance bill. 2 was some CSS need to go. 3 was some MPs needs to be inducted of corruption. Has any of it been inducted? Has any of it happened? what are we going to say different? Nini tutasema different? I saw Dennis, I saw you say 97 million people, 97 different opinions. I agree with you on that, but some are consistent, man. Some are consistent. Anyway, there's another thing of responsibility in Kenya. Walai, Dennis, you live in UK, and I'm privileged. I have been there. Okay, there's one thing. If you're indicted in something, people step aside. They step aside. To be sincere, Mithika Linturi doesn't even need to be fired. Ye mwenyewe ajiondoe tu. Hata Ruto mwenyewe anavaa tu kumwambia buda, hata wewe siku 2-3 toka tu, kaa tu kando. We deal with this. It's not even hard. See, it's not like kesho tutaenda kusema new things. Hatutasema new things. We'll be saying the same things. Of all the 97 you said, I'm certain 57 million ads have been said and heard. These people, all these, sisi wote tunaimba the same song. We are singing the same song. We are singing the same song. And you can't tell me with all the intelligence, with all the resources that this man hasn't assembled or hasn't had anyone to tell him, unless he has one ear which doesn't listen and he's surrounded by the most incompetent humans in the world, anajua nini tunateta. All he's giving you is a space, aende aseme, nimewasikiza. He just needs to show, ini PR. In PR inatandiko. Anataka tu hiyo space aseme, tumepatana, tumeongea, tutafanya. It's the too girly again. Tutaattend, tutasikiza, tutamwambia. And I can assure you without a shadow of doubt, nothing will be implemented. And we are past the stage of talking. We are past the stage of talking. Can we not talk and start actioning? Kwa zile vitu alisema on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? When did he have that roundtable thing? I know he said the debt will be audited, tutapata. He said the CS positions were supposed to come to an end, isn't it? And the wife things, those our mabibi wao tunalipia. Which of those that alisema on that table, how many of them have been actualized? Without a shadow of doubt, niambie moja imekuwa actualized. He himself said, hatujamaliza wiki tangu aseme hivyo. Alisema hizo maofisi, hizo makabinet secretaries zingine zitaisha. How many of them? How long does it take kusema, wife, hata ende ambie Rachel, hata alikuwa anafaa kumwambia hapo. Na atuambie asimame kwa podium atuambie. Give something, anything, to start trusting you. Always niambia ni kutrust, and I can't see any change. It's like you have a cheating boyfriend, and then you go back to that boyfriend kesho yake after amekudanganya, akwambie nitaacha. And then kesho yake urudi tu akwambie nitaacha, na ukisikiza ground huko nje unasikia tu anatembea na wanawake wengine. Kwani wewe ni mjinga?
Mapenzi ni moto, mapenzi ni moto, Mer.
Mbona hata mapenzi ni moto, but we can't be that blind. We can't be that blind to this man. He's just going to lie to us. He just needs to prove he has lost the confidence of the majority of Kenyans. He knows it and we know it. Okay, but he needs to give the majority, some people, those who can't read between the lines. And the worst thing is, most of us are educated. We can read between the lines. He just needs to give them anything, something, because they're unsettled. Sasa ni sisi wenye tumebaki Twitter, TikTok, okay? Na sisi ndio tunagurumisha ground, tunapiga kelele. Haina shida. It's politics, it's life, everything moves on. But he needs to show those who have already settled down, aonyeshe hadi hao nimewatuli, ini pia tunapigiwa. So mna expect after space ya kesho ndio ati wife yake hiyo ofisi itaisha? Or what are we expecting? Anything. Then what do you expect? What will happen? One is serious. Anyway, ukiattend mimi sina shida. Lakini ukaa ukijua there's nothing that you will say will be considered. Nothing. That's the truth, and it's the truth of the matter. Nothing will change.
Sawa, typical. Naona uko very fired up. Upside down.
Okay. Niaje, I hope mko fiti. Sitaki nikidhani sitaongea sana, sita take time mingi. So nianze na hivi. Okay, kwanza Rest in peace kwa hao watu wote wenye walituacha in the struggle, na wenye wamebaki pia. In case ujipate unatokea next time, najichunga pia, yeah. Lakini that doesn't mean ati watu wa give up ama waogope. Okay, tuanze na hii story ya leader. Leader mwenye anajisikia ni kama ako sawa anaweza lead, State House iko pale, unachomoka unaenda, unasema wewe ni kiongozi. Kuna wengine utapata huko walienda hata day one, lakini usiseme mtu anakataza kuwa leader. Hata mimi nikijisikia nikaa nataka kuwa lead, najipeleka tu, naenda napeana jina yangu huko na bank account yangu huko, sawa sawa. So mwache kuifanya ikae ni kama, kwani mtu mmoja ama wawili wakisema kusikuwe na leader haimaanishi wewe ukitaka kwenda. Hii ni democracy. Ukitaka kwenda pia unaenda, unapeleka demand zako whichever zenye unaweza taka. Kitu ingine, history ya space naona inaleta changamoto sana. Acha niwaambie, mimi hucheza chess, yeah. Acha saa hii okay, kwanza kuanzia Tuesday venye hiyo kitu yote ilifanyika, power yote ilikuwa pande ya youth, but venye watu waliendelea kupush. Kila time mkipush inakuwa successful kidogo, ingine kidogo. Saa hii imefika hata kaa leo hakuna watu niliona town, unaona. So hiyo power inaendelea tu na tena mnaendelea kuexpose weaknesses mingi. Ilifaa kwanza watu wakae chini tena wa consolidate tena wa restrategize hivyo tena. So hiyo historia ya kupush tena sana naona ni kama imekuja though maybe pia ina drive message fulani, but naona ni kama itakuja ku reduce hii story mpaka watu ififie kabisa. Kitu ingine kama ni history ya space, nikidhani nyinyi kama youth ndio wako na story, unaona. So tukisema ati tunahostiwa si twende to join, na sisi ndio tuko na grievances na nini, tunaenda ku follow terms za mwenye ametuhost. So haitakuwa na nini kubwa sana, haitakuwa na effect kubwa sana. Tena kitu ingine, inafaa nyinyi ndio msikizwe kuliko ule, si ndio? So kama umeinvitiwa, kama wewe umeenda kujoin, kwa nini? Na obviously itakuwa na terms za mwenye amehost. Wewe unaweza kufanya nini? Hebu jiulize hiyo swali. Tena story na corruption sidhani ni kitu inahitaji ati space. Ni kitu imekuwa ikiimbwa, hizi vitu zote mingi zimekuwa zikiimbwa. Nimalizie na kitu moja sasa. Kama umesoma vitabu kadhaa, unajua venye dictators huwa wanamekiwa, the making of a dictator. Sijui kuna video YouTube pia unaweza watch. Kuna dictators, kuna aina mbili. Kuna dictator mwenye hayuko willing kuwa dictator, lakini anapushiwa, inabidi sasa aseme wacha nikuwe hivyo venye mnafikiria. Anasema kaa mbaya, na huyo ndio dictator mbaya kabisa kwa hii dunia. So in as much as tunaweza kuwa tuna agree ati tutadanganywa ama tutaambiwa ama nini, nikidhani kupush sana inaweza turn hii story yote ikuwe kitu mbaya zaidi. Sawa, usisahau ni sawa, people's power na nini, but ujue people's power hamtampiga, mtaenda kuface police na nini, unaona. Of which pia si ati watu hawezi go about that, unaona. Tena kuna dictator huwa ina ingine, dictator wa kujitakia sana huwa wanaperform. Watu kama kina Gaddafi na nani sana huwa wanaperform. Lakini ule dictator mwenye watu wanafaa kuogopa sana ni mwenye amekuwa dictator juu ya kupushiwa. Sawa.
Sasa wewe What message are you trying? What message exactly are you trying to pass across? Unaogopa Ruto ama tunafasa kuogopa Ruto? Can some Moria please speak alafu upside down recollect thoughts zake kidogo. Moria?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, Mama.
Okay, so I've been listening to y'all's opinions when it comes to allowing Ruto into the space, and yeah, I'm not really gonna say much about it, but I've just been listening to the different opinions because I was a bit confused about like if it's the right thing to do or not. But I don't know if this is like a good idea, but you know how for the past few weeks he's been doing like press releases, addresses, interviews. I think we should give him the same energy as the way we want to give him tomorrow. If we don't want to listen to him tomorrow, then we should continue not giving him the same attention when he comes into the media. Because if we give him the attention that he needs, kind of like a media blackout, if we give him the attention that he needs, we're going to be sending him a message that we are willing to listen to him. So I think the same energy that we're having right now should be the same energy that we should start implementing from today. My other thought comes to the whole leadership thing. I also agree with Dennis when it comes to leadership. Of course, having no leaders comes with its own benefits and disadvantages, and having a leader comes with its own benefits and disadvantages. But I think we need to be more organized as a movement, because I remember, was it this week the week before last week, I saw posters going around that we're supposed to do Mara sit down, all that kind of stuff. Then now I'm hearing that we're going to protest, we're going to the streets. So it assumed we have a classroom, and in the classroom are all the people that are against this regime. And then say the teacher, quote unquote, the teacher, say the government officials, Ruto, whatsoever. And so the teacher is now asking us, what do you guys want? And then everybody is screaming, oh, I want you to go, I want Sujin Nakumia to go to do this, that, at the same time, different things. So that's literally how it looks like right now. We have so many different voices saying different things. I know people have suggested, let's have a leader, or let's have a council, but we need to really, it looks like we're not sure what we want. So we really need to sit down and think critically. We should not have this habit of like, oh, let's make a plan of something, and then next week we're like, oh, we're not using logic, we're just using emotions. If we keep doing that, this movement is going to slowly die out. My last thing right now, under leadership, is we should avoid involving politicians, including the opposition, the people in the opposition. The reason is because I know people have their own supporters, they like Babu, they like Sifuna and these guys, but you guys have to understand, don't trust politicians. All politicians are here for their own benefit. They're here because it's their time to eat. Even if they're in the position, I personally don't think the position was doing enough. I have my own reservations about them, but we shouldn't, if we're thinking of leaders or listening to people to give us the way forward, opposition or anybody in government is the last person to reach out to. That's all I have to say right now.
Asante sana. Washira?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for. Can you hear me, first of all?
Loud and clear.
Asante sana, because I'm using technology kidogo hapa. Sasa, my name is Washira. I've been listening to everybody. I've tried to note down the things I wanted to say, so I'll try to go systematically through them. Kuna jamaa anaitwa Typical amesema, when you cheat on your woman and she forgives you, alafu mkamwambia lakini mapenzi inakuanga moto, Yeye anasema ati watu wanakaanga wakirudi. I think we've all seen that thing over and over again, where we are making a bad decision with our politicians, we are making a bad decision with our elections, and we go back to the same thing over and over again. I remember my aunt telling me about her friend who used to be beaten by the husband over and over. And when the husband died, she was crying, who is going to beat me now? Watu urudi. People go back to the suffering they are used to. More than the possibility of a better future. And all you have to do is look at the police. The police are currently kind of, they operate like hired thugs. The way they're operating, anybody who was there last week on Tuesday will see that everything was running well, and it was the police who were tear gas. It was the police who were shooting live rounds. It was the police who were hostile. But has any of us gone to where the police live? We don't know where the police live. We don't know how they live. By my estimation, they earn anything between 17,000 to 23,000. Anybody who's earning 17,000 shillings in Nairobi and has 2 kids is going to act like a maniac. Unapeleka mtoi shule, lazima umlishe, lazima ulipe rent. Bed sitters, most places, bed sitters, depending on where you live in Nairobi, are between 5,000 to 10,000 bob. So depending ni wapi unaishi Nairobi. So unless unaishi kwa nyumba ya mabati. So it's turning these people into animals. And the same thing was done to the slaves. The slaves when they were being transported from West Africa to the Americas, they never sat down. They never lied down. They were standing up. They were lined up standing, or they were chained up standing. They would exactly where they were standing, and the food was thrown into that space where they were standing. So by the time you go to the Americas, you are an animal. They would dehumanize you. In 2012, the salary of the police officers was supposed to be increased. Ma MP wakasema hawezi ongeza mshahara ya makarao kwa sababu watapata kiburi. This is widely known. Watapata kiburi. Yet roho safi, KDF hawafanyangi kazi kama nini, kama karao. The police, even in America, an American policeman gets 4 hours of training per year. That's why they end up putting their knees on people and killing them. It's not because they're stupid. It's because poverty makes you stupid. So kuna vitu mingi zinafaa kuchenjiwa, lakini I'm not willing to say that I have all the solutions for such kind of things, lakini it makes me kind of, when we were at the protest and I was looking at those policemen, nilikuwa naangalia, because when we got at Posta, tulifika Posta, that line at Posta, opposite I&M, before that toilet, there was a lot of tear gas at that point. But how people got past that line of policemen is that people went there chanting, "We are peaceful." And there wasn't enough space for the policemen to throw tear gas. So when people go to the police couldn't throw tear gas, because you can't throw tear gas to people who are next to you. And the police were laughing at the things people were saying. Watu walikuwa nawasalimia. Kuna watu walikuwa nauliza majina zenyu na kina nani. These people are broke. And broke people can be manipulated in any which way. And that's usually the pattern that's being implicated in our country. Secondly, there's something I keep telling my friends. The first lie, an apology from a liar is another lie. When it comes to somebody like Ruto, Ruto has built a reputation of lying. So even when he tells you he's sorry, or even when he makes a recommendation, he's lying. He's never going to change. Haitawahi badilika. It's basically the story of what's it called? The scorpion and the frog, where the scorpion tells the scorpion, let me jump on your back so that we can swim across the river. And the frog tells the scorpion, no, you're going to stab me and kill me. No, but the scorpion says, but if I stab you, we will both.
Washira, ni kama nakupoteza. Nataka kufunga space in about 10 minutes or so. So if anyone else wants to speak, speak now.
Umenipoteza kabisa basi.
X Gen Z, acha X Gen Z aongee and then you'll come back and finish.
Sawa.
Atypical. Nataka kufunga space in 10 minutes or so.
Kwanza Washira alikuwa na point za maana, sijui tu atiamalize, lakini on that thing I'm back for the point of the leader. We are not failing because we don't have a leader. We are failing because we don't have a narrative. It's always important to have a common narrative. The first one was because we had something we were learning. Kila mtu alikuwa behind reject finance bill. The main problem we have right now is we don't have a common goal. Having a common goal is very, very, very essential in any movement. Any government, hadi wao wenyewe wenye wako kwa serikali because they have a common. They had a common goal. Sisi ni serikali ya kuua dynasty, sisi ni serikali ya hustler. That's what won them the election. Don't forget that. Right now, kitu hatuna ni narrative. And that's the one thing that Ruto right now is taking over. Hapo ndio anataka kutubebea. He wants to control the narrative. He wants to control the narrative that yes, I am be able to speak with these Gen Zs na nawasikiza. He wants to have this narrative anatusikiza. That's what you are giving him, the narrative that anatusikiza. And that will win over our parents. Because our parents, all they want to listen to, they want us to be obedient. Don't forget that. Obedience. Understand your opponent. Sielewi nini watu waelewi. This is a game and we are not understanding our opponent. You're dealing with a liar, okay? You're dealing with a manipulative person. And now all he's doing is controlling the narrative. And we are giving him the tools. Because kuna time utaenda ucha, mzazi wako anakuuliza, sasa nikuulize unaenda maandamano kwa nini na Ruto aliwasikiza? And we'll have no answer. You will literally have no answer. All we need to do is get a common narrative and we can push forward. But listening to that guy, Washira maliza tu. Juu hata nitakasirika. Maliza tu.
Okay, I'm here. Can the host hear me? Hello? The host ndo alikuwa na shida ya kunisikia.
Tunakusikia, mimi nakusikia wapi?
Okay, sawa. Kenye nilikuwa nasema, an apology from a lie is a first lie. So I was telling you the story of the scorpion and the frog. When they got to the middle of the river, the scorpion stabbed the frog. And while they were drowning, the frog turned to the scorpion and asked the scorpion, "Why did you stab me?" And the scorpion said, "I couldn't help it. It is in my nature." That is the nature of the people we are dealing with. We are dealing with these people. Look at the politicians. Look at yesterday. Look at how many politicians yesterday said they don't want a price increase. When in Kenya's history have MPs ever said that they don't want a salary increase? Never. Never has it happened. But all of a sudden, they are unified. They are unified in telling us the same way they were unified in telling us that they are removing the price of the taxes on bread. It's just another distraction. It's garbage. So if Ruto is going to come to speak to the people Number one, we have to agree that he's a scorpion, that he's going to do whatever it is in his nature. And number two, the idea of refusing him the access to speak to us, because wale watu wanasema hawataki kuongea na yeye, mpatie hiyo access, tuoni atatuambia, mpatie hiyo access, kwa sababu first of all leo watu wajaenda kwa streets, tuanzia hapo, but we have to keep this thing going. We have to keep this thing going. The other thing is they are trying to divide us no matter what, kwa sababu nimekuwa nikiona ni kama people are not speaking from the same script as before. So eventually, whether we like it or not, leadership will develop. No time in human history have human beings lived without leadership. Even imagine your own home. Whether you are 5 people or 6 people, there was always leadership. Maybe it was your mom or your dad or whoever it is, but there was also always leadership. Even if your parents weren't there, your firstborn would take over. There was always leadership in some form or way. Now, we've made a mistake, but it's not truly a mistake because it was part of the evolution of everything. We required that period in which we had to discover ourselves and find out, like, we needed to go forward in some chaos. And as a parting shot, I would like to, there's a video I'm going to share on the charts here. Naona hapa kuna 140 messages. There's a guy called Hegel. He was a European philosopher. He used to talk about this thing called thesis, antithesis, synthesis. I'm going to simplify it as much as possible kwa sababu vitu mawazo kubwa kubwa zinakuwa zikisumbua watu. Thesis is, think about it this way. Ni ile, let's say unaishi in a society that's very orderly, very constrained, and very strict. And then you get to teenage, then you go full-blown chaos. But you go full-blown chaos until you are making mistakes. So you have gone to the extreme end. You are so pulled to one end that by the time you are released, you springed to one end. And you went to the complete opposite. Now you are coming back to the middle and you are bouncing up in the middle until your spring yache kuspring back and forth paka upate stability. That's what we're trying to find. A lot of people nimesikiza leo in spaces are talking as they are very defeatist. They are talking as if like, oh, ile moto tulikuwa nayo kwanza imeisha. Hapana, it's snakes and ladders. Unapanda unashuka, unapanda unashuka, unapanda unashuka. Me, I remember when we were playing snakes and ladders with my one of my cousins at that game. We used to walk all the way to their house to play that game because she was the only one who had that game. And kuna time mtu angechukua ange throw dice na apate ile ladder kubwa paka juu, alafu a throw dice apate ile snake kubwa paka chini, alafu apate zingine mbili ladder zinampeleka juu. Bora your goal is to get to the end. It's a war. It's not battles. You don't make a decision on where you stand based on a battle. Battles determine tactics, but your strategy determines how you are going to win the war. Thank you.
Asante sana Washira. Odera.
Thanks, Jeanette. I just want to encourage us. I'm not looking at what we're supposed to do and we haven't done it. I am counting the small wins that we've got since we started this push. Naziko mob, najua. So I am looking on the positive side of everything. I am not looking on any negative side of anything. And I don't think we haven't failed. We've achieved so much, you know. I was shocked the other day, what's his name? Senator Nairobi. he gave some very shocking detail. Like that guy has got, I think, some fuel card yenye inakuwa topped na gava. And by the time he was speaking about that fuel card, it had a balance of around 338,000 Kenya shillings, if I'm not wrong. So sijui when the government tops up that thing, wanaitop up na pesa ngapi. But this is a senator, anapatiwa juu yeye ni nini, a minority leader wa nini wa Senate. So he's got a government car and other government privileges. Unaona, these are details we didn't know nothing about. Huyo mtu anapatiwa fuel card of that much, yet walimu na madaktari hawalipwi. Unaona, this series ya MP huyo wanga na madredi, this weird guy, he posted his pay slip for all of us to see. Not that it really matters or it changes our narrative or our goal. But these people have panicked. Kama ungesoma posts za nani Wahome Thuku alikuwa anasema they were expecting us to be on the streets today. Na aliname 2 hotels where these people were hiding with their families, wife and kids, away from their homes, away from the public. Juu hao kwa najua demonstration zitaelekea upande gani. Unaona. So my point in closing is this. We've made gains. So usione ni kama hakuna kitu tumeachieve ama hakuna kitu tunafanya. No, do not be discouraged at you maybe hatukwenda mgomo leo, so not at all. We've made a lot of gains, and that is what I hope that we'll continue building on. However small they are, they're still our gains. So let us just stay focused. Shukran Jeanette for the space, and shukran to everyone who was here today, and shukran for all the opinions, disagreeing and agreeing. Sisi sote ni wa Kenya tu. Shukran.
Asante sana Odera. Anyone wants to speak before I close the space?
Yeah, thanks, Jeanette. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I think this has been a very insightful space, having different opinions and still respectful to each other. But for me, I'll say Ruto will not change. Ruto will just go and lie to us tomorrow. It's fine. We can listen to him. But the lies continue. But our struggle continues as well. Let's continue to re-strategize. We just prioritize our matters. Yeah, we remain leaderless. We don't want anyone to die now or their families to be abducted or to be tortured for whatever reasons. Otherwise, thanks. Good evening.
Asante sana. Gen Z.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You lost me in the first instance. Good evening to everybody. Well, I would like to send out my condolences to all the fallen heroes. That's my first. Mine is very.
Tunakupoteza. Gen Z. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Thank you all for joining the space and for contributing whatever ideas you guys had. And I hope that we can move forward and
Let's listen because we know his narrative already. Maybe he'll talk about the obvious, the unga price, the fuel price.
Gen Z, ulikuwa umepotea kidogo. Unaweza start. Ulipotea from the greetings. Unaweza nisikia? Okay, I think let's call it a night. Thank you guys for joining in and for requesting for the mic and sharing your opinions. And I hope we will bring the change to our country that years from now, our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren will be proud of. Na si pia tunaweza simama at some point and say because we did 1 or 2 or 3 things, our country went towards a certain direction. So asanteni sana. Do not relent, do not give up. Let's keep fighting. And I just hope tutapata hiyo direction, because that's the only thing that seems to be missing in e-revolution. Hatuna the direction, and we want to achieve so many things, but hatuna to direction. So we're just all over the place. So hiyo ndo kitu I pray that we will work on and we will get better at. Otherwise, have a good night, have a good evening. Inategemea uko wapi. And bye bye. Tupatane kesho kwa space ya Ruto wenye mtakuwa.